I'm at Grace Church Road. I went to Waynesboro to bring this man down to this address. And now he's trying to force his way into a house. I'm afraid to move my vehicle. They're fighting in there.
It's inside the house now?
Yeah.
You have your doors locked?
It's open. I'm in a van.
You need to make yourself safe, okay? Even if you've got to drive away from there to get away from him and close that and lock that door. Do that for me now, please.
Okay, wait a minute.
There we go. I was just trying to get Streamlabs. When you guys see me, type in welcome to the show. Again, an impromptu live. So thank you guys for stopping by. As for Kelly, I'm not referring to Mike. I'm referring to Dave Erskine on his text messages there. And so anyways, I was just trying to get Streamlabs into it. So I was like, come on, Streamlabs, get your butt in here too. And there. But hey, Adam.
Hey, everyone. Hey,
yeah.
Sonny.
Yeah. Adam's like, what you doing? And I'm like, contemplating life.
And what did I say?
Oh, that I have to remember to leave him my password for the YouTube studio. Yeah. Anyways, you guys, thank you for joining us. And again, it's an impromptu. Just created a thumbnail, created the live, and away we go. You know, me and Adam are like that.
Yeah.
All right. You want to say some hellos? Because we're streaming from Adam's channel as well. Again, so I'm sure there's some blocked people on that list that will come over to your channel there that are blocked on this one. But sometimes that's the bonus for those people.
Right. Yeah. Hey, it's a crime and shame. Hey, Shelly Bray. Hey, Sharon Parker. Hey, Deb. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Kelly Aaron. Good to see you. I hope that new job is going well. Hey, Purdue RN. Grandma Watches. No smart talk tonight, Grandma Watches. Sally Hiller. How are you? Laura A. Too Much Mom. Oh, I'm watching both lives simultaneously. That takes talent. True Crime Housewife. Charmaine Swart.
Remember
hey there, Jizwiz.
Jizwiz, did you hear us talk about you yesterday when I said the word jizz? And then I brought up your name because, you know, Jizwiz to me reminds me of this poster that I remember seeing as a kid called The Whiz Kid. And, you know, the boy was going to the bathroom. But anyway.
He says that intro music was intense. Well, I hope it didn't make you unexpectedly do anything.
Like jizz or whiz. Okay.
Hey there. Was it where did I skip? It was True Crime and other stuff, I think.
Oh, yeah, so my bad. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. Hey, Tammy77 Digital, good to see you. Then I think we're caught up. Laura A. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. And then don't forget our friend.
I didn't see Mrs. Depp.
Mm-hmm. Streamlabs is in the house. And Deb, of course, if you're not subscribed to Deb from True Crime Notebook, anyone that remembers, Deb was on the channel of It's a Crime and Shame, and Deb is working hard on those thumbnails, she said, as she's going to watch the live or listen to the live. And so Deb, of course, will drop her link. And if you guys aren't subscribed to Deb from True Crime Notebook, then please do. And thank you guys so much for being here. And Angelic Darkness. I love that. And then the wilted flower to go with it. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Hey, Digital. So okie dokie. You know what? I think you guys, just before we start off with Delphi, we just really want to show a 2-minute clip on it's a minute and 53 seconds if you guys can hang tight, and it will be on the 19-year-old at WSU. So if anyone has followed the Idaho case, you know of Brian Koberger, and you know exactly what happened to those 4 poor victims. And you know that Brian Koberger was from the WSU, Washington State University. Well, then not too long ago, sadly, well, and we don't know the cause of what happened to him yet, but a 19-year-old,
Right.
was found in his, I think, dorm room. Is that what you
Yeah,
call it there?
and
Yeah,
nor do we know that there's any connection whatsoever to the Idaho case.
right.
It's just the timing that makes it interesting. And regardless, it's acknowledging the loss of a 19-year-old's life, which should never happen. Um,
Yeah, and while we're doing that too, let's honor uh, Tyree Nichols. Another very sad case. If anyone saw that, with what happened and how the cops, you know, um, well, took his life, and
yeah,
like at the end of the day, it's about justice. It doesn't matter what side of the law you're on or whatever. It's justice for the victims. So we'll quickly watch this, you guys, just because it did pop up. It was something that I was paying attention to, and Adam happened to mention it just before the live as well. And I was like, yeah, actually, it just popped up in my feed. So it's a minute and 53 seconds. So we'll see you back then, okay?
In Pullman tonight after a 19-year-old student was found dead in a dorm room earlier this week. The cause of death has yet to be released. Krem 2's Kyle Simchuk reports from campus tonight. We're outside Parham Hall. This is where that 19-year-old student was found dead in his dorm room over the weekend. WSU police are still investigating, and while they do not suspect foul play, they're still waiting on official results from the medical examiner. It was 1:34 in the afternoon Sunday when Pullman paramedics received this call.
Paging Pullman ambulance for an unattended death, 624 Northeast Cougar Way, Parham Hall 613.
They found 19-year-old Luke Tyler unresponsive in a dorm room. Paramedics unable to revive him.
Pullman fire units, we are attempting CPR at this time.
Tributes are pouring out for the WSU student, friends describing him as kind and sincere, the life of the group. WSU police are investigating the death, and Chief Gary Jenkins tells Krem 2 at this point they do not suspect foul play and have not applied for a search warrant for the 19-year-old's dorm room and personal belongings. We don't know who discovered the body or called 911. While there's been speculation online about what led up to Tyler's death, WSU spokesperson Phil Weiler said, quote, "I would caution the public against speculation at this point in the investigation. The facts in this case are still being gathered. It could be several weeks before the coroner's office determines the cause and manner of death." WSU Pullman Chancellor Elizabeth Chilton sent a message to students saying she understands that during trying times, a lack of information often leads to confusion and questions. But she also urged people to avoid speculation and said the loss of a member of our Cougar family creates a tremendous loss for all of us. A GoFundMe set up to help with funeral expenses has already raised several $1,000s. In Pullman, Kyle Simchuk, Krem 2 News.
Okay. Sorry about that. Honestly, I don't remember the date offhand.
it was last Sunday.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's about a week ago.
Yeah.
So not quite. Yeah. Again, very sad. That not only, about Brian Koberger and the 4 victims, of course, and then, kind of ironic, isn't it? I'm not gonna lie. In your head, you're like, is there any sort of connection? You almost can't help but think that, but not going to speculate on that. Regardless,
if anything, I honestly would believe that because of their statement of this could take several weeks for them to determine whatever. To me, that means they're probably waiting for toxicology. That's 100% speculation. So
yeah,
I'm not trying to malign the kid or anything, but
yeah, absolutely. And again, for anyone watching right now, if you guys could hit that like button and notification, and if your notification bell isn't hit, could you guys hit that notification bell, or else you don't get the notifications. Simple as that. But we would appreciate that if you could do that for us. We like to always try to get to 100 at least. We strive. So we're just asking if you could hit that, and if you, because it's amazing how many people hit the subscribe, but they don't hit the notifications. So if you don't hit the notifications, obviously you're not going to get, you won't know when somebody's doing a live stream unless you happen to catch it.
Right.
And that goes for any channels, really. And I just want to say, I didn't know who that MrBeast guy was up until recently, and I find myself watching some of his videos. The reason why I'm attracted to watching his videos I is just because he has such a beautiful big heart. Like that guy is totally um, always giving away.
I'll have to
Like
check him out.
yeah, like if there's one thing I always loved about Oprah, from when
Yeah.
Oprah, because I remember when Oprah first came on scene onto the, of course, talk show, lineups. And there's one thing that stood out about Oprah was that the money that she made, she gave back all the time because, of she didn't have much. And always in my heart, it's kind of like I would always secretly wish that I had that type of money to do the same type
Right.
of thing. So, of course, I can't do it that way, but I've always done it in different ways throughout my entire life. And so when I'm watching The Beast, and he actually, like, you guys know I can barely look at a squirrel without talking about something different half the time. Be frank, so I literally watched his Mr. Beast burger, like the entire video, and it was a good hour and something long when he was it was, oh my god, the mass amount of people that were in that mall of America or whatever it was. And it was crazy. And but it's the acts of kindness, and I happened to go to his Twitter today, and then he had this pay it forward under 6 words or less, he goes, put a link to your website or whatever, and maybe I'll buy some of your stuff off. Anyways, I didn't know who he was. I've heard of his name here and there, and I
Yeah.
was like, but for some reason I had a different person in my head. I think I was having the other guy that was from Twitch that went over to YouTube that my husband watches, and then when I seen him, I was like, oh, that's not who I thought it was. Anyways, 129 million followers. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that know who MrBeast is. I, however, did not. And some of you probably in here do not. Anyways,
Yeah.
massive, massive heart. Absolutely massive. And I just find it beautiful when people take what they receive, and like this guy just gives and gives and gives and gives and
Aw.
gives.
I'm
You
gonna have
know,
to check him out.
he was talking like how
Mr.
one of
Beast.
his one of his videos, can be like $4 million to make. You know,
Wow.
dude, like seriously. The one guy said, "You hit billionaire status yet?" He's like,
Oh wow.
not quite.
130 million subscribers.
So okay, so he just gained some more. Crazy, but you know what?
Oh, sorry.
Love what he does. Love what he does. Just giving,
Wow.
gives back. It's a beautiful thing to see, to be honest with you. Um, anyways, uh, let's see. I thought just was meant cheese spray. You spray on a crab. Oh, don't remind me of that, honestly, because there was a
Yeah.
lady that was asking her husband, and no offense, but this lady was about 500.
Cool.
And she asked her husband for a cheese spray, and then he brings it into the car. And she's like, he's running around the supermarket, where she's sitting in the car. And she's like, hey, calls him back, can you get me some cheese spray? And she takes the can and it's just like, and then it's hanging from her mouth like a vampire, like teeth. And then she's done. I'm just like, okay, did you really need to include that in the video? Like, meaning it was a news thing, right? And I'm like, because I was thinking, what does she mean, cheese spray? What the heck is? I love cheese, but what the heck is this cheese spray?
You mean like Cheese Whiz?
Yeah, but it's in a can, like whipped cream, and she's
Yeah.
like,
You've never had Cheese Whiz?
I've had Cheese Whiz, but not from a can.
That's what it's in. Cheese Whiz is in like a can.
No, it's in jars here.
Oh well, it was originally in like a whipped cream container, like where you like and you spray it into your mouth.
Yeah. Right, Deb. Thanks to Deb. Guys, make sure you go to Aspen's channel and give him a thumbs up if you can.
Oh.
Watch both. Absolutely. Thanks, Deb.
And then I put MrBeast's link in the chat as well.
Yeah, and if you guys don't know who he is, honestly, I love Pay It Forward was my favorite movie. It always emphasized who I was as a person. And when I saw it come to video, I was like, it just, it, I watched it many times because I just always wish the world was that type of place that you just paid it forward to other people. Because
Absolutely.
even like B says, and people, like I said, that don't know me, but I tell you, the biggest thing that I love is when you help somebody and you made their day or made them smile because you were able to do something special for them. It's for me, that's my love cup of filling up. I truly enjoy that. So watching his videos and watching what he does for people, um, just beautiful. Hi Lala, Lala Foggle.
Yeah.
Um,
Hey, Lisa. Good to see you.
where is she? Actually, where's Lisa? You've been hiding.
No, Lisa, is Sleuth not live tonight?
Oh. I watched one that he asked people to take 1 grand or give 10 grand to a random person, and the one person chose to got 10 grand also. Oh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. You guys got to go check him out if you don't know who he is. Yeah, hey Lisa. Okay, so let's Shelly. I tried one was behind the other. I tried and one was behind the other, echoing. Uh,
Oh, watching both of our streams at once.
Oh yeah, you can just watch one, or else you're gonna get the echo for sure. Um, MrBeast and Unspeakably My Grandson. Oh yeah, like the first guy that was actually in line of the burger video that he did had made this huge, like quite like about 3 foot statue of him, and he had been there for about 3 days. First in line. It was
I'm
crazy.
playing with you, Lisa.
You said members only, and I'm not a member yet. I'm always here, even if she's hiding. Okay, so again, prayers to Tyree Nichols and obviously to that WSU student, and of course prayers to the Idaho Four. There's so many to
Yeah.
go, but
Yeah,
prayers up.
you know what we put in our thumbnail last night, Sunny, and we never talked about was Anna Walsh.
That's because we got sidetracked, honestly, with Tyree, and
Yeah.
we ended up, yeah, and because the live was pretty well, what we deem as rushed, okay, even if it's an hour and a half, 45 minutes long.
I thought it was a good live.
Yeah, that it was, you know,
And our
so
members only, I thought was really, really fun for anyone. I thought was really informative and good. So anyone that is a member and has not watched that, go back and check out the members live from only last night. And if anyone is not a member and they want to watch it, make sure you join on It's a Crime and Shame.
traumatized. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, I like the members ones because it's just a chill one where you could just, the more
Yeah.
the more I was swearing at YouTube, the more it liked me. Like it was crazy. Call me
know.
crazy. Like I went off on YouTube and I was like, sweet, then it went green. It kept going green. I was like, thank you. I don't know how it traumatized him. Usually you walk away with the feeling of, unless of course he obviously didn't understand the meaning, I guess, of that movie.
Lisa, yes, we understand Deb is the real star, but we're trying to trek along.
Is that hi mommy? I said hi mommy. Hi mom. 23 kittens on there. Okay, so getting into, of course, what
Shelly.
I left. When I thought there's still plus that I missed. Shelly. That was just a trick. That was just, yeah, Shelly, we're leaving. And then all of a sudden she leaves.
Until you see that little spinny circle thing, we're not gone till we're gone.
Heaven forbid, right? Okay. So, Adam, actually, let's start with you first. Was there, I want to talk about, again, about Ron Logan's affidavit versus a few of the things that were in there. I was just kind of looking over it today and I was like, that affidavit was truly made up to, towards Ron Logan, obviously. Then, so I'm watching your face. I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted by looking at your
Sorry.
your
Because I'm
smile.
reading the chat, and so it's making
Yeah,
me
yeah,
smile.
yeah. Okay. You guys are making Adam smile. It's hard to get him to smile.
Well, Grandma Watches always makes me laugh. She said they give an hour warning about their ending.
Right. So yeah, so my thing was this is that so here you have, Dave Erskine tax out there, which everyone knows, and you have and verified that he said that was his. And then you have it where he said about here, let me actually just pull it up properly. Just to share it with you guys. I don't know if that's the one here. Yeah, okay, this is the one here. So, in one of the David Erskine's, texts, it says, "But I read the coroner's report." Whoops, you guys can't even see us anymore. Oop, there we are. "But I read the coroner's report. The only DNA would be from Libby's fingernails. She fought like heck." We're gonna say she fought like heck. And then when I go over to, of course, the affidavit of Ron Logan, is it this one? Oh no, I think it was this one. Hold on, 1, 2, it should be this one. Is it this one? Sorry, guys, it's like I was looking at it just a minute ago, and I can't remember now if it was on this one. Help me, Adam, help me. Let's see here. Sorry, guys, I had this. I was like reading it like just a few minutes ago, and I knew exactly where to look. Oh yeah, based on my training. No, okay. I discovered right here. Yes, right here. There we go. Okay, my bad. Right here. It says LG and AW had no visible signs of struggle or fight. Now, now remember, so to me, this affidavit again was based on the fact that they were trying to prove that it was Ron Logan.
Right.
Whether or not whether or not it had to be over exaggerated, which we know, or fabricated. And then I think to myself, well, hold on, but we have David Erskine who's saying that he's seen the coroner's report. And let me go back to that. Or sorry, but I read the coroner's report. The only DNA, would be from Libby's fingernails. She felt like hell. Now, David Erskine is Abby's uncle. And obviously, this is Libby he would be speaking of. So, to me, if he's read the coroner's report and you have an affidavit that has exaggeration, like exaggeration, because that person, Nicole Robertson or whatever her name was, like I said, it's not like the voice is not sounding familiar, but we
Right.
know that now. But then we think of somebody who literally not only came upon the crime scene, was one of the first 2 people there, and again in the text, that was one of the first 2 people there. And so obviously he would say, "I've seen the girls, know the crime scene." So I actually almost believe more of the Dave Erskine. If someone read the coroner's report, and he's not even talking about Libby, his own niece, he's talking about Libby,
Mhm.
I think that there's something to be said there, to be honest with you. I don't know. What do you guys think? I did put it. I don't.
I like what Hudis said, because Hudis makes a good point. I feel like when she says fingernails looking bad can mean digging into the ground and never being near BG. If if he was talking about anything visible on her fingernails, like say like they looked bruised or something, it also could have been from her digging, maybe trying to claw. I mean, I hate to even speculate on that, but maybe trying to crawl away, something. It doesn't. I like, that's a good point, because it's not something I thought of.
But the thing is that he read the coroner's report.
Right.
So that's the difference there between who just saying that this might have happened, which is plausible because we don't know, or still David Erskine, who read the actual coroner's report to know what it actually said. So that's where the difference would lie there. So we're just going to, obviously can only know to speculate unless we actually know the real truth, you know. Libby was offended. Now, Kelly made the comment of Mike. Kelly, if you're still in here though, did Mike say that as well? You know, on top of David Erskine, did he say that as well? Okay, Affidavit. I gotta like that name, Affidavit.
Well, did you see? She said earlier. She said, or they said, I hate law terminology, and their name's Affidavit.
Well, it's not only that, and then the person goes on to use asperconus, and I have no clue what that word means. Never heard of it. I like little words.
Well, think of it.
Aspa.
Think of my name.
Thinking you.
That's what she's meant. She was joking about me.
And the asperconas in this case.
Yeah.
Is referring to you somehow. Okay. Are you gonna make it about you now?
It is about me. True Crime Housewife says, I don't believe he read the actual report. Certain no family member has seen them, in my opinion. And
Well,
all we're going off of is the words that he said.
Yeah. That for me, I'm going to take that with more of a grain of salt than anyone ever telling me that he didn't read it. Why? This is at the very early stages of the case. You know, this is something that obviously has, you know, like I said, circulated around, and people have, of course, speculated and whatever. But I'm probably going to take a family member's versus like just someone that's viewing, like myself even. I'm going to go like, I'm going to believe. So let me put it this way. He put out texts and took some grief for that, for sure. And he admitted that it was him, that, yeah, he put out these texts. Well, why would he feel the need to lie about that? Like, sometimes that's what I always think. Like, why would this person need to lie about that? Now, in the affidavit, did they need to conjure up, you know, something that sounded like, you know, whatever they needed to get the warrant and make it sound better? Well, we hear that all the time. Cops saying that, you know. And that's why he said, it's like, I think it was something about Becky. And then he's like, well, Becky lied to you, you know, about the coroner's report. So it's one of those things. I think to myself, why would Abby's uncle lie and say that he read it if he really didn't? That wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. I can answer really quickly. I just want to answer Shelley's question. And I just Googled this just to confirm, because I knew the answer, but I wanted to make sure I got it correct. But the difference is, an autopsy is a forensic medical examination that determines the cause of passing. Where, for example, say a pathology report will say the victim passed from a gunshot, whereas a coroner's report is usually part of an official record that will state whether the passing was an accident, a self-unaliving, or a intentional unaliving.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that, I know it gets more detailed than that, but that's the gist of it.
Sorry, just because this one's standing out. Anna, no, we are 100% certain who wrote those texts. Maybe you're unaware, but they are 100% verified.
Right. The information in them is, of course, his words. They're his statements. You know, so we can't verify the information he says in the text, but we can verify that they came from him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, again, you know, those are his words, his texts, you know, Whether
But the validity of it, we don't know.
correct. Hey Alexa.
Oh, how is your tummy doing?
Yeah, well, that's what happens when she drinks a smoothie too fast. Oh, yeah. Come on, Alexa. Bring it back up. Did you bring it back up? Let's see here.
Alexa reminds me, for anyone not to break away, but Tuesday night on It's a Crime and Shame, we are going to be interviewing Drunk Turkey Show.
Yep.
And Alexa will be joining us. And for anyone that doesn't know, Alexa is a profiler and an expert in handwriting analysis.
Yep.
There's a word for that. I can never remember it.
Yep. Make sure you guys sub up if you're not subbed up.
Graphology, I believe.
Yeah, graphology. Yeah. I think I'm saying it right too now.
Yeah. So
Topography.
For anyone that wants to see Tuesday night, it's 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be on It's a Crime and Shame interviewing Drunk Turkey Show.
Yeah. Yep. That's 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday. I'm really looking forward to that. So that's going to be to do with the Idaho case. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe that they know Delphi as well. So because I remember, I think I've seeing it in their clip. So I'm pretty sure that we could probably be talking about some Delphi as well. Police can lie about a probable cause would create for illegal search. I think the uncle was mistaken. Police can lie, but lying on a probable cause? No, I think you're wrong there. It's not lying. It's exaggerating the truth, making it seem
right.
Did you know?
Yeah. Digital asked a question. I didn't see it pop up on StreamYard, but I see it in my chat. And Digital said, and I don't know the answer to this, but Digital said, was Tara good friends with the coroner at the time?
I have no clue on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know Digital, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, Delphi's a small town.
Right. I do know the coroner the coroner was like super young though, right? He had just taken over for his dad. Mm-hmm. If I remember right.
Yeah.
Okay, when is Sunny Wisdom Wednesday and ask Adam Dating Monday?
What is that?
Affidavit says, so when is Sunny Wisdom Wednesday?
And Adam Dating Monday?
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say, for having not been on a date in 13 years, you might not want to ask me about dating, but you can ask Sunny anything you want typically on Tuesday nights on Just Ask Lewis and Sunny.
Yeah. Yeah, last week my husband joined us. That was always good. I'm not sure what our topic is this week. I'm waiting for Lewis to let me know for that. But
have a good night, True Crime and other stuff.
Yeah, bye, True Crime. Have a good night. Sorry. Yeah, I know it's late. For some of these people are diehard. So, I always look at my time, which is 8:38, but I know it's like 11:38 your guys' time.
It's Saturday night, and the feeling's right.
Right.
Sunny, do you want to drop the Just Ask Lewis and Sunny link?
Yeah, sure. Give me a second.
Affidavit says, what did I miss with your hubby on? So on Tuesday nights, typically, Sunny has a show on a channel called Just Ask Lewis and Sunny with a guy named Lewis. And they kind of go over anything from cooking, relationship. This past week was Mr. Fix-It, I think, something like that it was called. And Sunny's husband, Steve Austin, and Lewis and her all kind of answered, I guess, Mr. Fix-It questions.
Well, not so much me. I'm not a fix-it.
Sunny, I was giving you credit.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I fix everything all the time by myself. I fix my way to bed. I fix my way to the fridge. No, Lewis and my husband, very knowledgeable when it comes to, trinkets and fixing things and construction-y things and, hands-on, very hands-on. I mean, Adam's hands-on, but that's usually on the hair. Right, Adam?
Oh, I didn't know you were going to say there.
You know what? You're right. After I said it, my mind went to, ooh, I could go a few different places with that, to be honest with you. Yeah, knitting. No, I've crocheted though. Can't say I've knitted. Patty said it was like she was a fighter. So if Patty said it as well, you know,
Right.
I wasn't even thinking of Mike Patty.
I've forgotten about that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, I remembered it once. It was, I think Kelly said it, and I was like, oh yeah, I think Mike did say it too. Patty said she was a fighter, as in she would be fighting back. I would have fought like heck, but you can't fight back if you are incapacitated in some way. Correct. Again, to me, it just becomes of, it's really going to be all speculation. Even if all these words are correct, it's not going to be. No one ever takes it as 100% until we actually hear it out of a courtroom. Out of
Law
the
enforcement,
mouths that were
something.
involved. So I was just looking at this, and there was another thing, Deb, I was looking at as well that I'll show you guys in a second.
Right.
Yeah,
and Sally, that is very possible. He went through trauma as well. He could have been in shock. I believe that David Erskine, in his text messages, I think he relayed everything in his mind as he thought it to be true. Whether or not it's 100% fact, we'll find out in court. But I believe that he believed it to be true. Mm-hmm. And it did, and it has been confirmed by Anna that it was him, because it caused a little bit of a rift between the two of them. Yeah. That's been stated, I believe, by Anna herself. If not, I think it's been stated by David Erskine. So, I think he definitely kind of had to pay a little bit of a price, I'm sure, in his private life when it came to releasing those text messages. So, and if I ever had a chance to ask him, that's the question I would ask him, is if he had to do that over again, if he would still release those. Because I've always been curious about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm just trying to go down the list here because I know I was behind. I still believe he lied. He may have been in shock. Yeah, I'm going to disagree absolutely on that one myself, Sally, but that's the beauty of opinions, right? We can all think and conjure up. I just, again, for myself personally, it doesn't matter if he was in shock. That doesn't mean I don't think he's going to lie, or miss. Yeah, so I'm sorry, but it's kind of like, I'm sure he was absolutely in shock, for sure.
Thank you, Deb.
But I also think that there's a lot of valid information to what has been said as well myself.
Yeah.
Again,
what do you mean you thought the other end released them?
And a lot of people keep saying, and I do want to go back to this, because a lot of people keep saying that Abby had on Libby's clothes. And I don't even know where what I deem as a stupid rumor came from.
I don't either. I've heard it over and over, though.
But again, I'm going to go by the uncle who literally saw the girls.
And he's not the only one that saw them.
No, he's not the only one that saw them, exactly. And it says, no, that's not her nor Abby. Abby was placed there on the ground like a doll.
Libby was nude. Let's be honest.
Top part.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Only because I have that one as well. But it says, like a doll, hands up, folded, wearing the same clothes as the pic on the bridge. Again, I'm going to take a family's word more for it than I am going to do with the internet sleuths, if I had my choice. Meaning, again, speculation, but do I think that he's putting this out there just because he's making it up? He clearly would have saw the girl. So, meaning it just, what makes sense? Doesn't mean it's all accurate, but what makes sense when you're talking about things?
Yeah.
And it's always what sounds right to the ear. My grandma always said that. What sounds right to the ear? If it doesn't sound right to the ear, it's because something's not correct.
Right.
Something
follow your gut. And it could be something simple like that. because we know that the girls didn't have jackets, sweatshirts, whatever you want to call them, hoodies, whatever, and that Abby was wearing something, that jacket from the back of Libby's, or from Kelsey's car. Technically, maybe it is something as simple as that was Libby's clothes.
Mm-hmm. Well, Libby was wearing Kelsey's.
Yeah, but they both were. Remember, she made them both get jackets or sweatshirts. I don't want to use the wording wrong.
Yeah, but he says she was wearing the same clothes as the pic from the bridge. So let me just put it this way: if I had to scale, and someone's going to ask me to choose, I'm going to choose this versus someone.
Well, of course. Well, I'm just saying it could be something as simple as who this is saying is something. You could technically say she was wearing Libby's clothes because if she had on that. Correct. Jacket or
absolutely, but all he's like, this isn't for you, this is for everybody, but all he's simply saying is that the clothes that she had on the bridge is the same clothes that she was wearing when she was found, and that she was on the ground. Doesn't say anything about leaned up against a tree. It says was there placed on the ground. Now some people, I know the tree thing has been said. I don't believe there's no tree involved from anything that I've personally seen. And myself, again, you guys remember, this is just always talking it over and talking about different things and thoughts and things that come to the mind that, it's always for me about, straightening out where the story can be more sensible than wackadoodle, to be honest.
Hey, Karen.
Or off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Lizette, I mean, like I said, I think that, I don't want to use the word hoodie because that gets some people in a tizzy, because some people say jacket, some people say sweatshirt, some people say hoodie. So whatever, that outerwear that Abby had on, I think technically was Libby's or Kelsey's.
Mm-hmm. Libby had on a black hoodie. Abby had on a gray one. The gray one being not Abby's, so wearing that is assumed to be Libby's. Yeah. Correct. I was under the impression that she wore the sister's
sweatshirts. Sweatshirt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it was to Evansdale. Well, basically someone sent a picture of Evansdale. And I think it's the one where it's got the two things of the if I'm not mistaken, the covers that were over, and they were about 15 feet apart or something.
The yellow.
Yeah, those yellow tarp things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his response was like, no, that basically that's not them.
That was Evansdale.
Yeah. And then the response was this.
Eerily similar, landscape.
Right. Now, in my head, I kind of have it was in my head. I could totally be wrong, right? I have it in my head though that was Abby's arms folded over like a doll.
That's what I've always heard, but
yeah.
Who knows?
Well, again, just going by what he said there, what David Erskine said in that text.
That was the only part of those texts that ever confused me, was the whole like crawling away and the arms crossed.
No, the crawling away he said no to.
That's right.
Yeah, the crawling away he said no to, because I was reading it today and I was like, no, he answered back no to that. That's a lie. And so the folding of the hands like a doll, he said that she was placed on the ground and her hands folded like a doll. And it makes me wonder if that was one of those things where it was almost like when you almost go, I'm sorry. Yeah. And places are like an innocent doll in a sense, like it's almost like a perhaps like, you know what I mean? Like, sorry that this had to happen to you type of thing. Yeah. And she was folded more like that. Whereas with Libby, like we said here, Libby was, not closed from the top part up, was half covered with leaves and sticks, almost like they were trying to cover her. And of course, the word here used is almost like they were trying to cover her. Again, we can take that as we want to, considering, depends if you feel like there's more people than one involved. Hey, Mark, how are you? If you see anything, Adam, that people are saying, feel free to jump in there. How did he say the doll thing? I don't know. He said it right here. The doll was in that last message. Who it is? Right here. Like a doll. Abby was placed on the ground like a doll, hood up, hands folded, wearing the same clothes as the pic from the bridge. Yeah. So.
Lala, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lala says, could the partial print be from the bullet when RA loaded the weapon, just like Brian left his print on the snap of the knife sheath? I think Ellie has much more evidence. It could be. It absolutely could be. I'll especially agree with the second half of your statement, because I think after the search warrant at Richard Allen's, I believe that between the vehicle and anything they recovered from his residence, I believe that they probably do have a lot more evidence than they did at the end of October. So I will definitely, the first part of your statement is definitely possible, and the second half I would say is probably pretty likely. Hopefully, anyway. Oh, thank you, Austin.
Hey, Austin. And IPP, you know me. Down with IPP. Okay. Weren't some clothes found in the edge of the creek? Absolutely. There was. We know that there was a shirt that is a tie-dye shirt. We know that there's a shoe. That's another thing I want to talk about, is that other shoe. Because I was watching Kelsey again talk about that. And and then there was this item that some people are claiming that it's an undergarment or underwear. I personally don't believe so whatsoever. I think it's more of a, I think if anything, it's more of a knapsacky type thing. Like one of those ones, like a drawstring one. I believe it's more something like that. I've been staring at it, and I'm hoping to find the answer at some point to see what exactly that is. I thought I remember Kelsey going out the door one day and saying she had a knapsack on her back, and I remember her saying like something like, I always wear this. It was Libby's, or do you remember that?
I don't remember it. I remember you saying it, but I don't remember. I don't remember seeing it. Although to me, that also looks like a knapsack. I don't have anything to back that up.
Yeah,
other than what I'm seeing with my eyes. But I don't like to go into the picture things with anything too much. But
I know
that's what I see as well.
Yeah. I'm like I said, just because of the folded corners, but I mean, it's not like Libby probably only had one knapsack. So I'm sure that one is in the evidence room, whatever that particular item is.
Thank you, Sally.
So that makes me think they are in her. So what's Food is saying there? Hands folded, not arms crossed. So that makes me think they are in her lap. What is they?
Her hands.
Right. Well, hands folded makes me think when somebody lays their hands, they lay them usually like this.
Well, she's saying hands folded, not arms crossed. So
well, it just depends how somebody deems that.
Put your hands folded in your lap.
Yeah.
Could be either.
And it could be. It absolutely could be. Right? It absolutely could be.
Kind of like when you stand and sometimes when you pray, you just put one hand over the other.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it becomes about jacket, sweatshirt, hoodie, whatever someone visualizes in their head. However somebody wants to visualize that. Obviously, the people that were there would know the actual answer.
Sally, do you want to answer Sally's question for her?
Okay.
Oh, Deb did.
Okay. And again, there's 128 people watching. Could you guys hit that like for us? And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and hit that notification bell to get the notifications. Drunk Turkey show will be on our live on Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And was Dave Erskine a volunteer fireman? Yes, he was.
Yeah. I guess I forgot that since we're on both channels, if we're going to read a comment, we should put it on the screen. So that.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, John Weaver and Dave Erskine, as stated. And then there was a couple of Yoder and whatever the other person's name was. Um, Yoder, what is it? Yoder's wife, or I can't remember. Or no,
You mean the other
Yoder.
guy from Flora?
Yes, yes.
I can't remember his last name. Deb would know it, I believe. Or
Well,
Lisa would know it.
isn't that crazy though that John Weaver was part of the Flora fires?
Yeah.
Involved in that as well.
Well, so was David Erskine.
Yeah, I know, but but John Weaver, I don't believe John Weaver a fireman?
I think he's a volunteer fireman, I believe.
Is he?
Or was. I mean, at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
I had the roster
Thanks, Jason.
at one point for Carroll County's volunteer fire department, and how much because it even says how much they each make, even though it's volunteer. Like, well, no, they're not paid. What did I have? I had the police officer's salary list.
Mm. Oh,
How much each Carroll County officer made.
Mm. Hopefully the Flora fires at some point in time also gets resolved, because that's just a very sad one again for beautiful children that lost their lives. Obviously, there was an accelerant used, so obviously that was intentional. Heard there is more than one John Weaver. Maybe, but there's a specific John Weaver that they show that was. I mean, it is known that the John Weaver that was at the Flora fires is the same John Weaver that was there as well. We are live on both channels. Yeah. So I want to hold on. Go ahead.
And there's 123 total in chat. So if everyone could, give the like,
yeah,
I would appreciate it.
Yeah, hit the like. Thank you very much. We're working very hard on our algorithm. It does mean a lot to us. Oh, that's what I was going to do. Okay. Okay. And so the other thing that I wanted to talk about, along with the clothes, was that second shoe, the Nike. Now, I was watching Kelsey on another interview. I think it was I think her name was Rachel Ann, or something like that. Anyways, and Kelsey distinctly says that she was on, when they got back to the private drive, someone yelled up that was in the search party, yelled up about the shoe. So there's no way, if one's in the water and the person is yelling up to the private drive, to me, then I think we can take out the fact that one shoe was actually on the private drive, because she said when they got to the private drive, that someone from the search party yelled up. So that would lead me to believe that the shoe was down at the bottom near the creek, somewhere in that area, versus people saying that it was on the private drive. I'm just going by what Kelsey said, and versus her talking literally about the private drive, about when they got back to the private drive, then the searcher yelled up about the shoe. And because she knew that Libby had on a Nike shoe, that she knew it was, of course, hers. So it's just little things like that, that stirs in people's minds of, well, where was the shoe? Where was this? How was Abby placed? Was she sitting up against a tree? Was she, and it's just all those little things that always keep floating around. Many times I've asked Becky to clear things up, just to try to bring forth, and Adam has too, just to try to bring forth, the facts, more of the factual information, or what is more deemed that we deem as to be more trustworthy source, or more pliable than obviously all the different rumors that go around the internet. Do you think they are heading in the right direction with the Flora fire investigation?
Well, unless there's been an update, which I've not looked lately, about Flora, but I've not seen any direction that they've really been heading with the Flora investigation. So, I mean, my heart breaks for those 4 girls and their family, and they deserve justice. I question sometimes whether they'll ever receive it, but I hope so. What do you think, Sonny?
Yeah. With the Flora fire, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of us probably that had heard about the Karina McClurkin case really
Sure.
didn't. Yeah, I really didn't think that a lot of was, something was going to happen with that. And then look at lo and behold, something happens. So um, it's one of those things that sometimes when you think that a case is going to go unsolved and maybe no answers, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, even though it might take a few more years, or if we don't know if we'll hear the answer or not. It's hard because I do believe that there is a lot of corruption, absolutely, that goes on. Um, when people, when you live in smaller towns, especially, and everyone knows everyone, and you're scratching this person's back or protecting this person because you know what I mean. It kind of becomes like a brotherhood for sure. And I just think, regardless, that it always ends up that there's always going to be, especially in small towns, especially when people own a big portion of the Delphi land and stuff like that, and your friends or your family, that there's always going to be corruption in those. And I just think that Delphi in itself, Carroll County, I feel like it holds a ton of corruption. And I mean, I don't like to really talk about this person, but I think that Slimeball Greeno actually did a good video on the Flora fires, to show a lot of things,
Right.
Anyway, so.
Oh, Mark, I believe they were deposing the landlord. I don't know of any outcome in that. I'll have to look into it because it's been a while. I'll be honest, it's been a little bit since I've looked into the Flora investigation. One of the last things that I really honestly looked into is when there was that money that was allocated for that then was going to go to the fire department, or where was it?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I do need to look back into it. Now I will say, Flint Farmer's case in the Karina McClurkin investigation, his trial is coming up in a week or two.
Ooh. Is it now?
Yeah.
Is it?
Because I believe, if I remember correctly, it's.
Good night, Mom.
So they start the 15th. I can't remember now.
Do you want me to take a look?
2 weeks.
I'll go take a look. 1 second.
Unless there's been a continuation, which it's been a few weeks since I looked, but.
Let me just take a boo here while
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Grandma Watches, thank you for that information. I know you had said that and I believe they still do get a little bit of some sort of appreciation check. I don't know if that's everywhere, but in some places I believe they do. I was misspoken though when I said that. I was thinking, because I do have a list somewhere of all of the Carroll County police officer in all the towns and the sheriff's department and the salaries that they made in 2017 and 2018. Granted, I couldn't even begin to think where I would find that document now. I've had it for a long time. But that's not a lot.
Okay, so the pretrial conference is on the 31st of this month, January 31st, and the jury trial is set for the 21st of February. Yeah. So as it stands right now, that's where it stands.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe at one point it was supposed to start on like the 15th, so I guess it's been moved just a little bit, but still the 21st. That's 3 weeks from Wednesday, I believe, or Tuesday. Or wait, Monday.
And corruption in all of the towns. If you want to see a perfect example of how good old boys clubs and networks operate in Indiana, just go look up the journal review and read the Dr. Walker sentenced. Yeah. I might have seen that. I'd have to go back and take a look at it. Thank you, nobody, nothing.
Digital Tobe is, I believe, Liggett's chief deputy. He's still employed by the sheriff's department. He's just not the sheriff, but he didn't. I don't believe he retired. Yeah, Mark, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I need to talk to Jerry because I've not talked to her in a month or so. I talked to her around Christmas, and that was the last time.
And correct, Shelley, is it's not being specific. It's saying Libby was obviously not unclothed. Well, it says Libby's top half was covered with leaves, sticks almost, like they were trying to cover her. Correct.
Thank you.
It's not saying that she had clothes on at the bottom. She's saying that her top half was covered with leaves and sticks. It's almost like they were trying to cover her. And so that's what kind of makes me wonder with Libby again, and perhaps fighting, is the fact that, again, we know that clothes were in the water there, of Libby's. And then again, it's kind of, and I know Alexa's talked about, this before, maybe like, I don't know, the guilt or whatever it was, but, so that's what makes me feel like, why am I crossing my hands? That's what makes me feel too, kind of like Abby, if her hands are folded across, whether it's up here or down there. Same thing with Libby. It's almost like, like covering the top part of her. So again, was that day meant to happen? And it went wrong. It's like some people think. I personally don't believe so. I personally believed it was planned due to the fact of what BT. What were you going to say, Adam?
I was going to say, Digital. I believe that Dave Vito is the lead in Abby and Libby's case.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
And Vito is also who questioned Keegan Kline, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, sorry. Say that one more time, Adams.
Vito was also in the interrogation with Keegan Kline, right? It was Vito and the
yeah.
But yeah, Vito is Vito is how you spell the last name. I think he's the lead.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hudis.
And just to go back to the Flora, I believe there. I remember reading something, or if you hear something, it's my husband in the background laughing with his brother. Yeah, they're gaming. I wonder if they're done live streaming now. But anyway,
what are they playing?
I don't even know. I don't know. They changed their games, like like somebody changes their Ginch. So I don't know. I just know that they're laughing really loud. The landlord was also responsible because, and I think police has had more, because they might have gotten out in time anyway.
Lisa has great knowledge on Flora. So if anyone ever has a question for me, I can always ask Lisa. Lisa is a wealth of knowledge.
Us on a live. Lisa can join us on a live and talk about Flora if
she has once with Deb and I.
Back quite a long time ago there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I believe I remember seeing something about the landlord. I just don't remember what it said. Because like you, Adam, the last thing I remember was more so about the money.
And I know that's awful because I feel like I need to keep up on those things. It's hard sometimes. Even like just talking about Karina's case, like as soon as I started thinking about it, I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't talked to Jerry in a month.
Yeah. Time flies. I mean, even me, I forget. Sometimes all of a sudden it's just like Famously Unfamous. And if you guys don't know who Famously Unfamous is, he's the one that gave us all the Wabash River coverage. So always grateful to Famously Famous, or Famously Unfamous. And he does, just so you guys know too, he does a lot of lives like in Indiana, where he basically goes on those calls when he hears them on the scanner, whether it's a domestic dispute, a fire, a police chase, and all those different things. So that's Famously Unfamous. I'll drop his link here in a second. But always grateful to, right. I remember when he got accused of being that PEDO, which he wasn't. And people twisted that one around. It was somebody else. But I could see why people thought that they looked similar. That's always the bad part, is when you actually look really similar to somebody else. If Ali didn't have human DNA, how could they justify collecting it from everyone in town? Right. 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 Well, I still feel like that they did capture some partial DNA, within, but it was compromised,
Yeah, clearly not a great sample, whatever they have.
Yeah. And I'm just trying to see what people are saying. You probably felt guilt. Well, I feel like there definitely is guilt there when you do something like that. It's almost, yeah, like there's no other better word to say it besides feeling some.
Unless you're a psychopath.
Right. But most
right, Alexa?
people, most normal people would take that as someone probably feeling guilty about what they had committed. I mean, what always strikes me when I'm talking about this is the fact that he had this daughter, that was very, very, in a lot of ways, similar looking to Libby. And the picture where she had on Libby's tie-dye shirt, was just uncanny, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's always hard, because I think about Barry Morphew when people were trying to implicate Barry Morphew for Delphi. And in my head, I'm thinking to myself, but he has these two beautiful daughters. Why would someone that has a child, go do this to, 13 and 14-year-old?
Yeah.
And it's just hard to comprehend, and understand, if he is the one that actually did, the unliving of the girls.
Grandma Watch just made a comment that I like. I think I like that a lot, because, well, I mean, I don't like it, but
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not sure if it's guilt. I think it could be shame. It is shame. I agree. I think it could be shame. And people could argue the difference between guilt and shame, but thank you for that statement. It's funny you said that, Sunny, about the 13 and 14, because I told you I had family in town this weekend from Rochester, New York. Yeah. And so I know that my aunt subscribed to It's a Crime and Shame today.
Aww.
And I was telling her about, because she remembered the case a little bit, but I was kind of filling her in, and she pulled up the tribute I did for Libby on her birthday back in December. And she like almost started crying watching it, because she was like, this girl is a baby, and it gets lost on me sometimes, honestly, because we talk about it so often, and we're so familiar with the case that I sometimes even forget myself. But I'm like, this is a 13 and a 14-year-old. Mm-hmm. Who could do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these were babies.
That's something I honestly never forget myself. Like whenever I'm searching, this is actually what's, like I said, it's about the passion for these girls. And I get it. Sometimes we're doing so much stuff, and then you have to remind yourself, hey, and it always hits me every single time at some point that I'm looking, like it's always there every single day, along with all you guys that are watching as well. You guys wouldn't be following this case if you guys didn't have that same passion for those girls. Most people are parents. Most people have, nieces or nephews or something that can associate that these were a 13 and 14-year-old girl that went to a bridge and they never made it back home. And what sticks in my head, and it's probably because I do look at a lot of the helicopter crime scene footage, is I can only imagine those poor people that came across the crime scene and what they had to witness. Horrific. You can't
Well, I think those
unsee.
family members were out there searching for them.
Yeah.
That's what I always think of as, that, like, putting myself in, not to get too like dark with that, but putting myself in like Kelsey's, you're 16 years old. I think at 16 don't have the comprehension to understand the severity of what's happening, and so you think of like the fact that she's out there just looking around, in a search party, and Becky's in another search party, and then Mike's in a search party, Anna's in a search party, and then to think those girls were out there, and and what happened. So it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, and I don't care. I want to know the truth, and I want the people that are involved to face the justice for those girls. I've always said this, is that video that Libby took is something that I always felt the reason to keep fighting for those girls, because it was her saying, here, I've left something for you. Please give us the justice, and bring those people to justice, or that person to justice who's ever involved. I'm tearing up now. I can feel it because as you talk about it, it's like in my head, I'm placing myself on that bridge, those two girls coming to the end and someone behind them, and all they thought that was they were having a good day. And then that day
they were until then,
right, in such tragedy. And it makes me so mad that these people exist out there, like the Brian Kobergers of the world, like the Ted Bundys, like the BTKs, and all those people, that those type of people exist in this world. But it's so heartbreaking. Like,
right.
You
Like
can't.
I said, sorry, Sonny.
No, I was going to say the smile on Abby's and Libby's faces when they have those toques on,
Yeah. I mean, the thing that stands out to me in regards to that always is, if Richard Allen is guilty, which I personally believe he is, allegedly, but Kelsey got married last year, and
is now
she
expecting.
didn't get to have her sister there. And Libby should have been at her sister's wedding, but Richard Allen got to walk his daughter down the aisle in 2018, and that's not fair.
No, exactly, and that's where it's maddening as well, because if they knew about him back in 2017, and I mean, I can always never say this enough, is that it's sad, because obviously however the stars were aligned, the paths were aligned, this obviously wasn't meant to be solved back then, due to many things that obviously, you know what I mean? I hate to say it, but it obviously wasn't the time. And I don't know what the reason or anything behind that is, because here you have someone that literally was talked to, that had said that he was on the bridge,
wearing the clothing,
wearing pretty much the same clothing. And how did that get overlooked? Like, even like Lewis says, how did that get overlooked when they handed the case over to, who was it? Sorry, no, I drew a blank.
Georgia,
thank you. When they handed it over, like, how did that get overlooked? Like, how? You got a male on the bridge. You have a male that literally is placing himself on the bridge. And how did nobody open up their mouths and go, well, hey, this guy told me that he was on the bridge?
Yeah.
Like, how did that never come back up?
Yeah. And here we have Kelsey. Kelsey's expecting, for anyone that didn't know, Kelsey's expecting a baby in August of this year. And that's another thing that her sister should be there for.
Absolutely.
And not. And so I know you can't change that, but
sorry, I'm just I'm only doing this for the fact of I'm just going to check out the actual channel.
Yeah.
for a second.
And I don't know when the GBI got the case to review. I've only ever heard that they did. I can't remember. And I don't know to what extent of the case files they received. I've always heard they received the case files, but I don't know if they were the ISP case files or if they were the ISP and FBI file. I don't know what files they received to overview.
Okay. And I'm just gonna say because I just wanted to look. There's 66 likes and there's 142 people watching. Could you guys please? I mean, you guys know how much our passion is about Abby and Libby, especially in the Delphi case, and it's just about bringing awareness. You know, it helps, of course, with the algorithm, but at the end of the day, the first priority is always bringing awareness for people that are out there to bring awareness, whether it's that somebody else sees this story that has no clue of it, you know, about bringing awareness for the missing, and of course, we try to use the word unalived, like Psychic Sleuth always does now, just because of YouTube things. They don't like certain things, so and it's a little bit easier to say that than using the M word, to be honest with you. So if you guys could do that for us, and if you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and getting the notifications as well. Again, on Tuesday, we'll be having Drunk Turkey Show on here. Daniel and Big Blue.
8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Correct. Absolutely. So want to thank Daniel again and Big Blue for joining us. Jamie won't be able to make it that night. But yeah, so that will be a good live. And Alexa will be here. Alexa will be joining us. Alexa, if anyone doesn't know, is a profiling expert and handwriting expert. So, and actually, Alexa, just to let you know, he said, I believe, I have to go back to see exactly what he said, but he said, oh, this should be fun having a profiler on there. Because he said something that was really complimentary. But it was something about, oh, cool, you know, profiler on there, sweet. So don't miss that, you guys. And I'm gonna go ahead, Adam. Is there?
Oh, did you? Shall I? Say thank you, Angelic Darkness. Just want to say thank you, and then I'll go back to that one. The girl's legacy is that their passing is responsible for the biggest. Exactly, it is. You know, they've said that this is responsible, or well, they said Kagan Klein's case is responsible for the biggest CP ring in our case.
Yeah.
So. Yep. I always wonder, I'm like, they, everyone deserves justice. I always hate justice costing one victim something in order to bring justice around for something else. But I know I'm not naive. I get it. I get that, sometimes something has to wait for the greater good, but I still hate it.
I know. It's same. Right. I mean, there's nothing pretty about that, but sometimes things happen in life that aren't exactly pretty, for sure. And you wish that they never did happen. But sometimes when you look in hindsight, life is always hindsight. Everyone knows this by now, that life is hindsight. And that's how you learn your lessons, or, in a sense, because most people have to experience something before they actually have the hindsight. And one of the things that always gets me, okay, people, I'm just going to preach about this for a second, is that is that people always say that thing, like even in the Idaho 4 case, when some of the family members are making the post, and it's like, I should have told them I love them a lot more. I wish I would have said this. Those are things you can do now. Those are absolutely things. But it's always like, I always feel badly when people are saying that, because, you have a chance while your mom, your dad, whatever is still alive, to make sure, if, for the people that have, whether the parents are divorced or not, and you have those parents, whatever, make sure you're thankful to them. They literally wiped your butts. They literally wiped your noses. They literally took care of you when you were sick, and people have arguments over the stupidest things that turn into mountains from molehills. And it happens all the time, but it's never too late to always change those ways. Because even when your loved one, that your husband or your wife walks out the door, make sure you give them that kiss. Make sure you give them that hug, because you never know. You never know. And it's, Thanks, Marietta. I was.
Marietta Rosser super chat. $5 Canadian. Thank you.
Well, I think when the Drunk Turkey shows on Tuesday, I'll have to, just like that song, I'm a little drunk and I need you now. Yeah. But anyways, just to preach on that, because it always hurts my heart when I say people or say that I wish I would have done this and that. And it's, it's that guilt feeling that unfortunately gets taken on when something happens to somebody, and like I wish I would have went and seen them when they asked me to, and I didn't go see them or whatever it is. Always make time for your loved ones and friends. News reporters ask something about it, and if your answer questions or it doesn't fall in line with the narrative, they don't show it. If it's biased, you're guilty until and unless you can prove you're innocent. That's fair enough. I mean, honestly, it's true. and honestly, yeah. I mean, the thing that I like about sleuths versus the media.
About what?
The thing that I like about internet sleuths versus the media is we're willing to go on each side, every side of the fence.
Thank you, Marietta.
We're not playing. It's not like news channels play to clicks and views for sure, but they also play to being, showing things from a one-sided thing a lot of times to a narrative. Whereas typically internet sleuths, we're just talking about the case. We're talking about the ins and outs, and we're talking about the different sides and all that stuff. But I mean, news stations work in a certain way, and most of us know that. And at the end of the day, yeah, when you're in jail, and even Ken Maines was just talking about this from his something uncovered show, whatever it resolves or whatever it's called. Anyways, and he was just saying, yeah, you're guilty, and unless you can prove you're innocent, is pretty much. So when people say this whole, innocent until proven guilty, I'm usually going blah blah blah, because the truth of the matter is, you're in jail, you're considered basically almost guilty, and then you got to prove the innocence. And if it's found that whether it's a mistrial or there's not enough evidence, blah 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 blah, like, so I mean, and like he was saying, and what I think too is like, all you have to do is look to OJ case or Casey Anthony and see where that system has failed those victims, but it happens.
Yeah.
And there's people that are in the system that shouldn't be there, that were falsely accused. We've seen that happen multiple times. And there's people that deserve to be in there and are not in there because there wasn't the evidence or whatever to substantiate it. And
sadly, there are people that don't ever even get the option to be in there because they get unalived. Not that, I'm just, I'm still a little like shocked from watching that footage last night in Memphis. And it's hard because I support law enforcement so much. Like, I'm always pro law enforcement. But, there are bad apples in every walk of life. And, sadly, the police are no different. But, I even messaged, CD, and I was like, cause I was like, I want, I want to support law enforcement, but then I watch something like what happened in Memphis and I'm sickened by it. So then I like,
well,
I want, so I'm like, what do you think about this?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say hi to Shadow Seeks Justice.
Yeah.
Welcome, Shadow. She said Dave Erskine, his wife, was a nurse at the time of the unliving of Libby and Abby. If I remember right, in the text messages, I talked about her being a nurse and knowing, and the coroner, I mean, like I said, Delphi is a small town. I had people reach out to me that, lived further than that in a sense and knew who the coroner was, and different things. So chances are everyone knows everyone in those small towns, or somebody of your family knows that person, like when I see Anna Williams hanging with Peggy Garth. Now, Peggy Garth, don't get me wrong, I think that she's a beautiful soul, beautiful lady. And unfortunately, Ashley Garth, who we know sits in prison for 48 years, and Garrett Kurtz for 55, unfortunately, her name gets wrapped around with the Ashley Garth. And here she was, this grandma that again took care of her grandchild for Ashley, has the responsibility now. And it's really sad
Poor thing.
when people that are innocent of these things and then in a sense
Right.
get
Well,
brought in the mix.
I mean, it is. I grew up. I mean, I think most people know I grew up in a small town in the rural Midwest, and so I mean, not only are you going to know people in a small town, half the time you're distantly related to them, even if you're not aware of it. I think of the fact that look, there's a picture of Kathy Allen with Becky's sister. I mean,
Oh yeah, I know,
it's
right?
another example of small town USA.
Right. Always small town USA. And thank you, Mustang. Yeah, I was feeling quite dizzy earlier, or not dizzy, foggy. So I went back. I had all this work that I planned on doing, but then my husband, like in the morning, because I was up on the computer about 4 or 5 a.m. and I was like working on my other new channel. That one is called ThinkBox Media Source. And when it's time, I'll promote that channel. That channel, just so you guys know, the ThinkBox Media Source, that will be about showing you guys how to do live streams, showing you how to create content intros, how to use Canva, different things, how to create, how to do the different things on creating videos. So that one is going to be about more like a how-to channel for people, just because it's one of
Exactly.
those. I like doing the stuff, but one of the things that I really do enjoy is always teaching people. So if I have a knack for something and like to show people how to do it, because a lot of people, want to know more. How do you edit a video? How do you add transitions? How do and so I do like so much of that stuff, and use Canva, and I love Canva. And so yeah, so just so you know, that one's going to be, it is up, but I'm the first subscriber from It's a Criming Shape. I'm the first subscriber to the channel.
You need to let me know this info so I can learn.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, one second. I will drop it just because I'm talking
While you're
about it.
doing that, I'm going to read.
Sure.
Alexa, I agree. Alexa, thank you for saying that, because unfortunately, you're right. We do hear about the few cases in which bad police officers do bad things, but we don't hear enough about all the wonderful men and women police officers who risk their lives to keep us safe. And I like that you put the red apple and green apple there. So, like I said, there's going to be a bad apple in every walk of life. So, unfortunately, law enforcement's no different, but it always stings a little bit deeper when you watch those videos and you're like, oh my goodness. But yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. Who wants
Oh,
to
I
be
saw one of my favorite words here.
Who wants
So
to be
much
my?
happy.
Hold on. Shh. Who wants to be my second subscriber? I'm number one. It's a Crime and Shame is number one over there. Anyways, that's what that channel will be about. So I just dropped the link to that ThinkBox Media Source, again, because like I said, I do all this stuff all the time, and then it's good to help other people out. I enjoy that. Like I said, it makes me smile when you can do things and offer. Just like I like to go to other people's YouTube channels when I want to know something or Google something, that I go use the resources that they have as well for things that I want to know how to do. So. That's what that one is. I was sub 2, Sunny. Were you? Did you just do it right now? I just subbed. Anyways, so that one I'll be working on. And then I'll let you know when I actually do videos for it. But thank you guys. Okay. So I want to move on to something else. Let me just go. I'm just turning off my screen because I turn like a shade of red or something. And again, if you guys haven't hit that like button or subscribe, please hit that so you get the notifications. And I want to thank Psychic Sleuth again. You guys know that I dropped a video on a condensed version of that one a couple days ago, with Psychic Sleuth. So thank her again for coming on, and of course always Lewis and Alexa, and the people that do join us on lives. Okay. There's a certain spot here. I think it was, okay. Okay. I think it was like right here. I just want to make sure. So I want to talk about this part right here, especially where it says that a large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene. Because of the nature of the victim's wound, it is nearly certain that the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his or her person's clothing.
Sonny, you're up to 11.
Oh, do I have 11 subscribers? You guys
Yeah.
go. You rock it. Thank you. Thank you guys. Okay. You guys go.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say you got me on whatever. Now there's another part to this though. I need to find. And is it on this page? Is it on this page? Let me just take a look here because there's two things I really want to show you. There was that. I'm looking for the part where it says that, oh, right here. Okay. So we just have the part about where we just talked about a bunch of blood at the crime scene, of course, and that the person would probably likely have blood on them based upon what was at the crime scene. And so this is what I want to talk about. And Deb, we've talked about this many times. Now, I had a psychic reach out to me that had said, sorry, 2 seconds. Okay. Come back on camera. So I had a psychic reach out to me. Adam, do you have me in the background?
Sorry, my bad.
Adam, he's so cute. Okay,
I was going between the chats.
Okay. Don't forget to give a thumbs up here and go to Adam's channel and give a thumbs up here over there. Okay, guys. And again, congratulations to Adam on reaching his 1K subscribers. And of course, Deb's working on hers as well. So when Deb drops her link, if you're not subscribed to Deb from Deb's True Crime Notebook, Deb used to be on this channel of It's a Crime and Shame. Now Deb's working on her channel over there. And if you guys can love and support Deb, you guys know she's awesome, the people that are in here. So please feel free to go join sub to her channel as well. Thank you.
Yeah, and also Deb has also a Facebook group for anyone that, like, our Facebook group for It's a Crime and Shame is private for members only. But Deb does have a public Facebook group for anyone that wants to join it. They can go to Deb's Facebook group and they can join that for free.
Correct. If anyone doesn't know, right, our channel has a membership. Like basically, if you become a member here for the $1.99, then there's a private Facebook group that you can join. So meaning you don't have to join the Facebook group. You can become a member. And don't forget, people can always donate memberships. If anyone's feeling rich and wants to dig in their pockets, you guys can always donate memberships to each other. Some people,
on It's a Crime and Shame, not on Aspen Connor yet. But.
Right. Not on Aspen Connor, but on the It's a Crime and Shame channel. Absolutely. So it's always nice. I remember CD. And where's our buddy CD lately? Is he hiding?
I don't know I'm sure he doesn't mind. I know him and I were supposed to do a live earlier this week together. He hurt his neck and he was in pretty bad pain from it. So he was taking a couple of days.
Yeah, just
to rest up.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone knows we love CD. CD's a retired police officer. Love CD. Love his bluntness.
The real deal.
Yeah, real deal. There's a good way of saying it. Real deal. And then Deb there, she's dropped her. Is that the Facebook group?
That's her Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then that's Deb's YouTube channel as well. Always try to support each other. That really does help. I never have any problem supporting people that definitely are worth it to recommend, because it is about helping and caring about other people.
Right.
Oh, not everybody. Not everyone deserves to be loved.
And like I always say, there are 24 hours in a day. So for some people that feel like they need to, do something to like compete with others, that never it doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, I think there's enough people in the world to go around. I want our viewers to see other good content.
Absolutely.
And I know Deb's going to provide that, so I love suggesting Deb. I love suggesting CD.
Yeah, I don't know why those little kid games have to happen all the time. They do. and it doesn't make sense to me. But at the end of the day, we just worry what we do here, and we like helping people. If somebody needs, a helping hand up, to try to help promote them, and like we do with Joe Johnson, if he has something that he wants to promote for a show he's doing in Indiana, and because we do have a lot of Indiana viewers, of course we're going to do that. Why not? Why would you not? There needs to be nothing exchanged in return besides helping somebody. But anyways, okay. So thank you guys for that. And again, if you haven't subscribe or hit that like button for us, that would be great. And so moving on to this part right here. Okay. So a psychic had reached out to me before, and in that email, she had talked about that she had worked on the case in 2019. And the reason why she'd emailed me at the time was, well, actually, that part doesn't matter. It was just because she thought, she felt like a lot of what I said made sense. But anyways, so one of the things that she said that was asked of her by, I always get them mixed up, Holcomb or Holman. I think it was Holcomb. Might have been Holman, but I think Holcomb.
Holcomb?
Whoever is
Jerry Holcomb.
Jerry. Okay.
Yeah.
And he asked her a few questions that she said two specifically one was, well, how were the bodies moved, and how did the person or persons enter and exit? She said they actually seemed more wanting to know about the entry and exit. But one of them was, how are the bodies moved? So when somebody says that to me, I personally deem that as, well, they're not going to ask that question if it's only like 2 feet away or something like that, because it wouldn't make sense to me. And hopefully one day we'll come to find out the actual truth. But as I was reading the Ron Logan warrant, and I just happened to think of something, and that's why I pulled it up today. And then I was looking at it, and it says, okay, so it also appears that the bodies were moved and staged. Now, in the other one that I just showed you, it's talking about, obviously, about the amount. There was a large amount of blood lost by the victims at the crime scene. So we have that statement, in a sense, which would make you believe then there was a large amount of blood, that's basically in the area where they were unalived. And then you have the statement of that the bodies appeared to be moved and staged. So in thinking about it, because so many people are going, yeah, that they weren't there, the bodies weren't there, they were off, in some shed, or they were off over here and that. When I look at this, if we believe how this is worded, and we believe, what's put in there, because, it's going to be exaggerated to a point, but there's going to be a lot of truth, but some because this is for Ron Logan. Remember, they're trying to get a search warrant for Ron Logan. But something like those statements right there, because then we hear about the bloody person walking down the road. Heaven forbid that I don't know. I still shake my head at that stuff. But anyways, so that would lead me to believe, based on the two statements then, that it would more make sense that they actually were killed within that area, unalived in that area, and that, but they were propped and posed a certain way for there to be all that blood. Because if they were, typically if they were unalived somewhere else, that's where the blood would be. But if they're saying that because of the amount that was at the crime scene, and that the perpetrator must have obviously had some splatter based on all that was there, that would to me then seem to be like that they probably were there the whole time, and it was within that crime scene vicinity, not too far, like I said. So it's the way I have it pictured in my head after reading this is that yes, they were unalive there, but then of course they were propped up or staged to look hands folded, sticks and twigs, and set in that certain way. And we obviously know from Ives that a plethora of evidence, of physical evidence, one that you would want to take a picture of, was there. So again, this is a staging in its entirety. It's not only just of the girls, and it's obviously of the area itself. And you guys know that I always dig into the crime scene photos from the helicopter footage. And so, yeah, so that would so based on this, if we believe this to be accurate and true by what they're saying, which this one I can't really see why it would be too different. I mean, could be. Hopefully we'll know the truth one day. But this would lead me to believe that within that vicinity, yes, they were there. But then in my head, I think, well, what about what that psychic person had sent me saying that she had worked on the case for a week, and the only reason it was a very weird how she came to work on the case, and one of those things that are just meant to be type of thing, that the stars align somehow, and she meets up with an old friend and that she hadn't talked to in a long time, and she happens to work for be an LE detective or whatever, and she's like talking with her, and they're talking about the case, what the person could talk about it, but anyways, and that's how she became to work on the case, was because of a dinner that she had with an old friend that happened to get in touch with her and talk about it, and then because of her answers, she felt like she could offer something to Jerry Holcomb, perhaps to, because again, you guys, don't be fooled. Police use psychics all the time. And just like the Summer Wells case, they say that they didn't ask that person to come there when they absolutely did ask that person to come there.
I don't know if the Summer Wells case is a good example to give for most things. But
well, that one is because I distinctly was following it at that particular time, and I remember watching the news clip where the guy is telling me. So because I knew somebody that worked on that case. And so because I was watching the case where he was saying that we didn't hire or whatever psychics, the type of thing, and there was absolute bullcrap, and it was like, because the person that was working on the case let me know that they totally did ask that person to come, but of course they're going to deny it. They always, I mean, it's just how they work, right? They just fabricate a little bit there on stuff. But anyways, so what do you guys think on that? Because based on the 2 pages there, I'm going to believe. Whereas before, because of this psychic saying, well, they asked me, how were the bodies moved? Well, to me, why would you need to ask that question if we're talking like a feet away? Like, why would you even need to ask that question? But so it's like, do I more believe what she's telling me because she worked on the case?
Right.
Or do I take what is being said here, which makes it seem like it's within the vicinity, but they were just moved?
Right.
Oh, there's Lewis.
Hey, Lewis. I want to say really quickly, but I'm going to go back to this one comment really quickly. Lala, yeah, if you listen to Down the Hill, the podcast, Doug Carter states in that podcast implicitly that you have the immediate crime scene, which is where the girls were found. But then what you really have to look at is the totality of that crime scene, because that crime scene really, it starts at the south end of that bridge where the girls encountered the BG, and it extends anywhere they were from that point until where they were found. And so it is a very large area. So you're 100% correct. It does encompass a large area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lala says, in my thinking, the crime scene started at the bridge, and you're 100% right. Doug Carter himself is on the record saying that.
Lewis says hunters are able to take out an animal, field dress, and hey, buddy, how are you? And drain it. I didn't really want to bug him tonight. And drain it without getting covered. When done properly, you're lucky. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyone that's ever done that, been hunting or been with someone hunting, that has seen that happen, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. And again, you guys, there's 150 people watching, 84 likes. Can you guys hit that like button for us? Oops, sorry, I should show my face. I personally like when I go off, sometimes it's just because the screen goes all winky wonky, because this is a green screen and it's a beautiful painting that I didn't paint behind me. But anyway, so that's why I quit it off. But I do always like the personal feel of talking with you guys one-on-one like this.
Yeah, Deb, exactly. And then Truth Liquid, You know, I always think back to that because I remember Anna talking about that. I believe that was on was that on James what's his name's show, or was that on a
James
different?
Renner.
Was that on the that she tells that story? Because I believe she talks about it being the summer before.
Lewis would know. Lewis would know.
And that story always does. I always come back to that story, but I honestly think that she probably was just relaying a memory about Abby that, you know, related to her street smarts, if you will. But yeah, I always think back to those comments that she made. I just don't think they probably really have any correlation with RA, but you never know.
Well,
I don't know if you could see RA outside of the window on car, or if he would walk below it. Sorry. I guess it depends on how high up your vehicle is.
1 second.
Oh yeah, I think it was Jason Hebert. Maybe you're correct, Sharon Parker. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Jason Hebert.
Yeah, it might have been him. Thank you.
Yeah, I've talked to him a couple of times. 1 second there. I just will drop Lewis the link in case he does want to join us for just a little bit here. Adam, do you have to work in the morning, or you have tomorrow off, right?
No, tomorrow's Sunday, yeah. I'm not leading any Bible studies or doing the sermon tomorrow, so I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, I did drop you the link, Lewis, if you did want to join us. I wasn't going to bug you tonight. And I know that you're
thank you, Lewis. Lewis said it was on a couple of interviews. Renner was one.
I was going to say, I think Renner was one. Yeah.
I can never remember who has the colored bricks, but I was thinking, was it on the Colored Brick Guy show?
Yeah. You know what I love is that, for instance, you look at things that mean something to you with the case. I look at things that mean something to me typically, you know, as a whole, like there's certain things. And then Lewis and others, like Deb or whoever else. Hey, Lewis. Everybody.
No.
I'm hearing myself. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so what I like too is like Lewis looks at things and it's a matter of what retains sometimes in the head, because there's different things of the case that are intrigue us more. So we go down those rabbit holes or whatever. So, hey, Lewis, what's up?
Hey, how are you doing?
Oh, good. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm okay.
Yeah. How's your eye?
Yeah, it's all right. I was feeling better, so I jumped on. I saw you were on, so I figured I'd send some messages.
Oh, okay. Because I was just right when I seen you, I was just like, oh, yeah, there's Lewis. I wasn't going to bug you tonight. I just thought, yeah.
Yeah, no, yesterday was kind of rough. Today was kind of rough, but like I said, it was feeling better a little while ago. So.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam.
Just get what we've been talking about. I'm not sure when you jumped on. How long ago did you jump on?
Maybe 5 minutes ago.
Okay, so you caught that last part. Did you have anything that you wanted to talk about with that part of it?
Which part?
The Renners.
Yeah, it was on at least 2 interviews, if not 3. But Renner was the first one I remember hearing it on, and you'll know it's his interviews because it's where he did that weird 3D type 360 camera thing, that wide lens, so it's kind of goofy. But I'd mentioned that to you very early on when they first arrested Rick, because I looked and there's a small supermarket right in between where the private drive is and Rick's house. So my thought was, since Anna lived near the private drive and Rick lived in that subdivision about 2 blocks away from that supermarket, that's probably where they went to do their, like everyday type small shopping.
Right.
So she never said where this happened, but my gut call was it was there earlier on. And I've always wondered if the other night when we were talking, I wanted to bring this up, but I didn't. But it makes you wonder the connection, because we keep saying, where's this RA connection? It doesn't really seem to fit, except for that. I mean, yeah, maybe he's tied in with Keegan Kline and online stuff with some, secret account and who knows what. But what makes more sense to me is he had issues. If you watch the videos that he had on his wife's Facebook page, he immediately goes from looking depressed and zoned out to energetic and jumping around. And it made me think that's one of the reasons I think he is more of a psychopath, because I think he's learned over the years to turn it on and off. I don't think it's something he gradually went into. I don't think he's got any empathy, like when he walked into court. So let's say that he is in a bad relationship. It's not what he wants it to be. He constantly has delusions, and he's infatuated with. Let's theorize here. He's infatuated with Anna from work. They play pool there. She used to go in there, and in his mind, that can never be. And then he winds up seeing her one day going in the store with her daughter, and all of a sudden, that infatuation changes from one to the other. And, that would give him a reason to know what she was doing, follow them. I mean, there's no hard proof, but that story has always been in the back of my mind, tied into what if RA was just infatuated with mom, and that turned into an infatuation with the daughter.
And this will be the crazy part of this, okay?
Yeah.
So let's say, right. So let's just hypothetically, we're just talking off our, theorizing and whatever.
Sorry, nobody, nothing.
But so let's just say, even though, I mean, stranger things have meant to happen. Like I said, look at all the ties to Garrett Kurtz and all that stuff with this. But let's just say that Kagan Klein literally bad timing about everything, even though he changed his Facebook and stuff like that. But let's just hypothetically say that bad timing did happen, and that it comes ever to fruition that it was about Abby versus Libby, even though everything is making it seem like it's more target to Libby. But wouldn't that, and I was just about to say this term, and I'm going to hold back because I was going to say, wouldn't that be the cat's ass? And then I'm thinking about all the cats that are involved in these things.
Hey, cats are out there solving crimes.
Right? Yeah. Cat, you know what? Don't F with cats, right? You don't F with cats. You guys know that? If you guys haven't watched that, you should. It's about sleuths that literally tracked down that guy that started off with cats and then moved on to people.
They're putting their fur at crime scenes. They're triggering Ring doorbell cameras.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And Sonny, if I can just jump in before we go further and just say, and I've told you this from early on, I have a whole bunch of different theories, and what I do is I try to rule them out, and once I rule them out to where I don't think it's a theory, I drop it. But this is a theory out of I've probably got 3 or 4 theories that stick in my head every day, and this is one of the ones that just pops up every now and then in the back of my head and says, you know what?
Agree.
Well, why won't anyone come forward and shoot this down? Because I've actually talked to people that know Anna, and I cannot get her to dismiss that as being the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
And right, there's little facts out there, but we did get more facts, of course, when the affidavit came out.
Yeah.
And the different Ron Logan's thing. And honestly, it's one of those things, right? I like to kind of use the facts that are out there, of course. Now, obviously, it's fact that a conversation happened on Renner's show, or on Jason Herbert's show, or Hebert's show as well. I think it's Herbert. Sorry, Jason, if I'm butchering that last name.
Hebert, I believe.
Yeah, and but it's just one of those things. It's really a mind. I mean, I'm always thinking of different things myself. Like when it comes to the actually what happened, I mean, I've always stuck, I would say 90% to the Libby's connection versus Abby's. I really have never gone down an Abby trail besides what you have told me or what we have talked about.
Yeah.
I've never really thought about.
I went down Abby's dad trail for a while, but
yeah, it just, it was one that again never really hit my radar too much on the Abby side, because from what we could tell, or what we have know, is that especially since Kagan Klein stuff came out back on December 7th there of 2021, that everything was pointing towards Libby, whether it was the conversation, and I don't know, like the mask incident happened, which opened up the case for Kagan Klein, and and then of course him doing things on his Facebook, which he was putting himself in Las Vegas, which we know is a lie, on the exact same date, and so yeah, it's kind of like I have no problem ever, thinking about things, and then it comes down to, like you or anyone else, what makes sense. By the
Well,
information out there, what makes sense, perhaps.
with the info we have from the crime scene, what is known, and the condition of the two girls, if you look at this from an aspect of Abby being the target, and it was a target of infatuation, that would explain the condition of the two. Because
Right.
you're going to treat the one that was not the target that you're infatuated with would be rougher and covered up and discarded. And the one that you're infatuated with would be dressed up and hands folded nicely and placed in a certain position. So everyone that reads the crime scene one way is missing the whole other reading of how this could be a motive and how the bodies would be left because of that motive. If you were profiling the killer and you knew that that was the one victim and that's how they were left, that's the way you would read this. So, and we don't know enough to read it either way, but it does fit that theory if you look at it that way.
And I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
you would have, say Abby, that was left in a sense, a nice, well, maybe what we might deem as in a nicer way versus Libby. And if she did fight like heck, like what was said, and again, I'm not going to sit there. I kind of would, if somebody read the coroner's report, right, and then they made that comment, I'm more likely to kind of look at that aspect a little bit harder for the fact that they read the coroner's report, and this is Abby's uncle, David Erskine, so it's almost like you could easily switch it up kind of and be like, okay, so Abby was left in a more, nicer way than Libby, but possibly because Libby did attack, I don't know.
I guess the thing is, you can actually honestly build an argument for either way, and you can build a profile for either way, but it's not proper to look at one only and not rule out the other one and keep it as a possibility.
And you're absolutely right on that, Lewis. I mean, absolutely. I've never really personally gone down the Abby line because I guess it was just because everything that was being shown was more towards Libby. But you're right. I mean, the thing is that we know on the 12th that Libby was talking to Max Snowberger. And we know that she was saying that she was going to the bridge on the 13th. So again, does that come from the Kagan Klein side knowing? Does it not? Is it really truly, I just think to myself, did Kagan Klein give up information? Did he not? And then you see those sealed documents. It's a mind boggler, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. Honestly, thinking of the different things and then trying to rule out things that don't make sense versus things that could make sense. And I know that you're a smart guy, Lewis. I know that you're a smart guy, and you think of theories and you put them out there. And if people, doesn't mean that you're just trying to, like I said, either dismiss them or include them.
I mean, you know for a fact that for the longest time, my strongest theory I keep going back to deals with somebody completely different and has nothing to do with this theory. And here's where I think that law enforcement might have gone in a wrong direction here. I think they focused on one or two individuals and had tunnel vision for 3 or 4 years. And that's not the way you really need to look into something like this. You need to find the likely suspects in the area and scrutinize them, but you have to look at every possible outcome. And I don't think that was done strong enough. I think they disregarded some things because they didn't fit the narrative, and therefore they weren't looking at 5 scenarios. They were looking at 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm. I want to tackle this one question because this is, sorry, Lewis, just to go back to a comment there about the shoe. I kind of think that because of the sun and the lighting, that shoe is not as clean as it looks. Just like that item that's between the shoe and that we're saying is more like a knapsack looking thing. For def, I don't see it as undergarments. Anything that I've looked at, I don't see it as that. But anyways, but because of the sun hitting it, perhaps. Do you think that because of the lighting hitting that shoe, that we're not really seeing the full grasp of the dirtiness of that shoe? Because obviously that shoe kind of stops and is dark and then goes to a light color. But then I look at the sun and I look at that second piece, and that second piece is deceptive. But when you bring it into a negative, you can see the depth more of that article, and you can see that it's two-toned. So do you think that that's plausible about that shoe? That the sun's just hitting it in a way that it's not showing off the dirt of it?
I think that the way it's sitting there and the way the water went up and down and the way that water moves as fast as it does, that leather and rubber mud will wash off without much trouble. You didn't have a hot sun to bake it in where the mud dried out and got hard. So if the sneakers were in nice shape before they got dumped in mud and stuck in the water, they're going to rinse off and wash easily. You're not going to, it's not like it was a different material. Canvas on shoes and leather and rubber on shoes are made to be used as shoes. It's not like you had a white pair of pants. That's going to maybe get stained, but shoes like that won't. You can stain the rubber on them over time, but one instance of being in the mud and then being heavily washed off in the water, I think that it would look clean even if it was filthy as could be when it got washed down there.
Yeah.
1 second here.
It's a hard thing to judge how dirty a shoe is, because if the shoe's showing a lot of dirt and it's not clumped on stuff, it's from use. It's not from one instance.
But the thing about the water is that the dark part is on the lower half. That's the part that would hit the water.
Yeah.
Than the top part.
Well, that water's moving though, so I have a feeling at times, because you've got higher levels depending what time of the day it is, and the water's rushing past it, even if it's not rushing fast. In the videos, you could see how fast it was rushing from the helicopter. That's enough to rinse and wash stuff over. And maybe they were floating and then got stuck where they were, so they were submerged for a while. I mean, I'm not going to put too much in how clean or good they look, because I can make an argument for both ends. And yeah.
I mean, I find it hard to believe that the lower part is staying dirty while the upper part that's away from the water is showing off as clean. That doesn't make sense to me at all. I mean, water washing off, and no, they weren't as new as I think you think, because I was looking back at other pictures, and I believe like those would be the same Nikes. I believe that. I mean, it's neither here nor there, to be honest.
The Libby's Nikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, meaning those were dirtier. I had seen pictures of them, and those were dirtier. Now she had Nikes on, so I'm going to assume that they were the same Nikes within the same vicinity of time or whatever. But regardless, at the end of the day, it was just that question of, for me and someone asking it, doesn't make any difference really. Well, I mean, I guess it could to the people that are investigating it. It's just, to me, that sun maybe could have hit it, and that's why it's angling and not really showing the dirt.
Yeah, being wet, that's a good possibility. I just, they don't look like shoes that have been sitting there for a long time. They look like something that's been there for a day or so.
Yeah, but I don't understand why Hoodish, you're saying new shoes. In a sense, it's just like, again,
just because the whites, they looked on the white, they look.
And absolutely, I get that.
And I have heard that I have heard that she got them for Christmas. I don't know that.
Yeah,
but, and she may have had multiple pair. I mean, they're black Nikes. Maybe she had a couple pair.
Right. I was gonna say, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Those girls were walking on the trails. That the white that's on there, if it's white, that means that it either got washed off somehow, or that the sunlight is just hitting it in a direction, because there's no shoe that's going to look like that. Doesn't matter whose shoe it is, that it would look that clean at all.
Now, who just would know this information that she just said there?
Which?
I'll put it on the screen since we are on both chats. Because she gave her old ones to her mom, and she got a new pair. Those were her new pair.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if they're new or not, regardless.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
But I'm
that's
saying
the point I'm making, is that
yeah,
wouldn't matter, because the shoe, no matter what, the minute you step outside is the minute dirt's going to hit those bottoms of those shoes. But those, looking at the picture, looks like as if they're like so, meaning that they're probably newer shoes that you probably did get for Christmas, granted. But for the fact that it's in the water and we're seeing the bottom half dirty and the top half clean, it doesn't take away from the fact that they're, say, probably new shoes.
right.
It just means, are we hit? Is it looking like that because of the sunlight of how it's shining, so it's not catching it?
Could be
Or
the same as that whatever's in that water. If it's not white, it could be gray. If it's not a knapsack and say it were to be sweatpants, we know Libby had gray sweatpants on, but
yeah, no, I get what your point is there. Who does, absolutely, and yeah, like they look new, like they do look like a new shoe. I know, and at the end of the day, it's like that's, it's just that I thought something that I kind of keep staring at when I look at the picture. I'm just kind of going, huh, and it just reminded me of the item before it, that how sunlight. It's kind of like someone's face when you're taking a picture of yourself. If you're sticking in the shitty sunlight, then you're going to see every crevice on your face. And if you're sticking in a good way that the sun's going, it's going to make you look softer. And, that's why they have these filter lights on there. Hello, lovely. Hello, lovely. Yeah. So going back to what you were saying, though, Lewis, obviously every avenue should be explored, like I said, I've never personally overly looked, besides looking into some of it because you brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, I never really even thought about Abby.
Well, everybody is looking at it from a point of rage, a killer that's killing out of rage or something on that end, or just a violent murderer. Nobody's looking at it from the point of view of somebody that is an obsessed person that's killing them to keep the victim for themselves and nobody else.
Unaliving.
Unaliving.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Unaliving.
Yeah, unaliving. So when you're profiling somebody that's looking at it from a point of possession, and somebody that is actually infatuated and wants the person just to themselves and no one else can have them, they treat them differently after they've been unalived, and that's where you've got more staging of a scene, and that's where you'll notice in other things through history, they'll dress them differently, they'll do their hair, they'll on some they've closed the eyelids to make it look like they're sleeping. There's different things that are done that are signatures, and those different things are also considered staging. So when you've got a person that's not a serial, it's more staging than it is signatures, but that is what becomes a signature later on. And when you're reading those things at the crime scene, and you've got a victim that's placed that way and treated differently than another victim at the same scene, you can go one way or the other. Is it a rage hate crime, or is it an infatuation, your mind type crime, and no one else can have you? And if you look at both of them, you have got both scenarios here, so you can read it either way. And I'm just saying that you have to look at the other angle, not just the rage angle. And I think with RA, it fits because nothing else fits with him being there. And it's not my strongest theory, but it's the only theory I have that fits RA in there without being associated with anybody else.
Right. So, and just to be clear, we're just giving some, Lewis is just giving some speculation. He's not an expert in it, and none of us are. So we're just giving ideas and speculation.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's valid. I also really appreciate like what Alexa's saying in the chat as well about I think that like what she comes at it from a different angle because she has a different level of professional background.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that 100%.
What I'm going to say is most crime scenes are not stage type crime scenes with somebody that could eventually become a serial. Most crime scenes are robbery, rage, hate, domestic violence type things, and those all have that same type scenario that comes out to one description of the way the victim is left. what you don't see that often, but if you do study a lot of psychology and a lot of serial killers and case study going back on those things, is when they're not out of rage or hate, the ones that are treated this way are dressed and done differently. And it's weird that you've got two people completely treated differently at the scene. And that's why it's a very weird thing to look at. And people just need to not overlook the other end, and the reason I go to that is because you've got messages from a family member, and his mind is the same thing. My family member seems to be overshadowed by the other family, the other victim. And I think that's what caused a lot of the resentment and the rage in this person's life for the last 6 years.
Okay. And we're going to have to give Lewis we're going to have to give him our list of the words like SK for cereal. We're just trying.
He just said cereal. He didn't say, he didn't say the K word.
He did.
I think I said it once. I think I missed it on that one instance.
Alexa said that is posing, not staging.
Yeah, she has a thing about that. You use posing and staging correctly. Because we like to use the word staging. A lot of people will use the word staging which in her terminology, being a profiler, it's
I mean, posing is what you're doing with the body. Staging is when you change other things, as in the dress, the way the clothing is, the position of where they are on something. So it fits in with both, especially since they said the scene was staged.
Right.
It went a little bit more than just the posing of the bodies.
Right. They use the terminology staged and moved.
Yeah.
Nobody, nothing. You probably did not post a link. What probably happened was if StreamYard did something to you, you probably just didn't leave a space after a punctuation. And sometimes they look at StreamYards as automatically assumes that's a link that you're trying to put, and they'll delete it. So you didn't do anything wrong. You probably just didn't put a space in between a punctuation and then the next word.
Yeah. And sorry, that's what I was going to say quickly to Deb. Alexa's capitalizing, not that is the Swish Nike with the swish on it, which is right here. And this is dirt right here as well. Again, I don't know. Oh, I guess, you know what, Lewis, maybe.
Is that what, I didn't realize that's what you meant. When you were asking about one looks cleaner than the other, do you mean the bottom to the left and the right, the toe part being different?
Correct.
Well, that's the sun.
That's lighting. That's 100% lighting showing that.
Because I can see dirt on the heel.
Yeah. I thought you were referring to the fact that they still looked white and they weren't like that yellow discolored and caked up with mud from the way it was described earlier on.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that definitely is lighting showing the whiter part to the left and the toe part showing the dirt.
Right, because I can see.
You're 100% right with that being lighting.
He actually has a question there for Sunny.
Oh yeah, did you put it up? Let's see.
I will. There.
Oh, is that no? That's not a new pic. That's I cropped it.
It is one of the three, though.
It's one of the three, yeah. And so, like I was saying before, whoever missed it, is that when Kelsey was talking, and I could probably, I'd have to find it again. When Kelsey was talking, she was saying that they were going over to the meet at the private drive, and it was from the private drive that a searcher yelled up that they found a Nike shoe. Right. So that Nike shoe, I don't know.
The word up can be taken different ways as well, because up can be elevation. It can be if you're on the private drive versus in the creek bed, you can be up. If people use the word up for a lot of things, so that could still be confusing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I'm not going to twist
up the road. Up this, up that.
She said someone yelled up. When someone says someone yelled up, most would think of it in their head.
Well, we know Kelsey was on the bridge, and that whoever was down below. She was
on the private drive, she said.
Oh, I thought she was on the bridge.
No, she was on the private drive because I was literally just listening to her talk about it on that Rachel Ann, I believe the show was. I can't think of her name. Anyways, It was from like about a year ago.
Creek.
But
Yeah.
but it's just one of those things. It's no different when, say, someone has their hands folded. You can take it as this,
Right.
you can take it as below, or you can take up a certain way. But when
Or guys, just like,
you know,
hey guys, you can take that different ways.
yeah. Now that's a very, I use that term all the time. Hey guys, guys. My boss always hated it when I said guyses. And I'm
Guys,
like, go look in the dictionary. It's a word. Okay. It's a word.
Alexa.
Alexa, do you need mouth to mouth?
We'll send Lewis right over.
Yeah. No, I'll do it. I got this. Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know. That's
Hey, Grizz, did you win in poker this weekend?
Grizz. Hey, yo, Grizz.
Any
Yeah.
poker wins this weekend? Where's our $1 million?
Yeah. I'm still not seeing that. Come on, Grizz. Yeah. I think he's holding back on us.
See, that's what I thought, JJ.
What JJ say?
But if Sunny just listened to it, I believe her.
Yeah, you know what? You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna go see, because I'm just gonna go back to where that was. I'm gonna see if I can find it and play it for you guys.
Oh,
So,
who just says it's been said both ways?
well, I'm talking, yeah, what, from Kelsey?
Yeah, because I know that I heard her say she was on the bridge at one point.
Let me go see if I can find it, the part that I'm talking about. So I'll be right back. You guys, right? Just go ahead and feel.
Grizz is playing poker now, so everyone, let's send positive vibes to Grizz so that he wins a really big poker hand, and he's going to give us $1 million.
It doesn't have to quite be $1 million. 999999999.
696969.
You guys should call the grammar, please. No, make
right. Well, I do know Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll be right back. Let me go check it.
Poker face Grizz. Oh, Deb, now I'm going to sing that Lady Gaga song all night. Rah, 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 rah. Exactly, Udis. Less than 10K, and it doesn't have to get reported through the banks. Just remember that, Grizz.
What's that, Adam?
I said, Huda said, just remember, under 10K, and it doesn't have to get reported through the banks.
Depends on what you're doing with 10K.
Right. And Grizz, I'm thinking royal flush. Go for a royal flush. I bet you're holding one now, aren't you, Grizz?
Like if you're doing something with a vehicle at a dealership, and your combined totals are more than 10K, but they're separate transactions, that has to be reported too now.
Yeah.
You were getting a lot of guys that were just, handling drug money. They'd go and they'd buy a vehicle for like $8 or $9 grand, and then go to the service department and spend another $5 or $6 grand, and then do all that stuff. And they caught on to that. So they've actually made dealerships combine records of sales for not just the vehicle. It's weird.
It says depositing in a bank account is what she meant.
Ah, okay.
Deb, because you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Story of my life, Deb. Story of my life. Alexa says, you can pose a crime scene and you can pose a deceased person. You can stage a crime scene and you can stage a deceased person. Unfortunately, law enforcement uses the incorrect term for posing of a crime / deceased person as staging. Oh, and now Sonny's got.
There's a really good article on that. I believe it was in Psychology Today. I think that's
there was.
The one I read it in.
Yeah, I know the article you're referring to, Lewis.
Are you? Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a very well written article, and it goes into different points about how they start adopting the terms for staging, posing, and.
Yeah, and Alexa, no, you did not dream that. Kelsey is pregnant and she's due in August.
Yeah. And I'm predicting a girl. You guys think girl or boy? For who's ever watching. G for girl, B for boy. What do you guys think?
Put a G in the chat for a girl or a B in the chat for boy.
I'll tell you what I think is interesting about this is if RA is responsible, would you consider him organized or disorganized? And the reason I ask that is because
Who?
RA, yeah, Rick Allen. And the reason I bring him up is because he gives traits of both, almost to the point of being purposely planned out, though. And that makes me think more organized on top of organized, which, there's things he didn't do, but were they purposely not done just to give the impression of not being planned? I mean,
well, I think the same thing, both organized because I see what's on him, and I think disorganized because of...
I think disorganized.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, organized, disorganized, like the definition like the FBI would use.
No, I know.
He fits everything for organized and disorganized. It's very weird.
You're gonna send Alexa into an early grade there, Lewis.
Why?
I'm just playing.
I'm on my other phone, so I cannot see anything in chat.
I'm just playing.
Yeah.
Exactly, Mariette. I agree. Healthy is all that matters, but
This is what I want to say about organized versus disorganized.
Yeah.
I think that someone might be very good at electronics and different things like that, and they know that part of their world pretty darn good. But does this person know how to properly, commit an unliving and be able to, do it in a fashion that is organized or disorganized? That's where I think that the downfall here was. But
I think Brian Koberger is 100% disorganized.
Disorganized, but organized in a
but
lot
then
of
Rich Allen, I feel like, is more organized. But I don't know, because then I see disorganized as well. I don't know. That one's harder.
With him, I think he is a very organized, but he's also not intellectually at the level he thinks he's at. So therefore, he underestimates what he thinks and does not think would cause him to be caught. But I think...
Are you about Richard or Brian?
No, with Brian. But with Richard, I think it's more in depth.
I think Brian was very disorganized.
With Richard, you've got organization to the point of being overboard. Family, job, home, cars. This seems 100% to be premeditated. This doesn't seem like it was a spur of the moment type thing and rage, oriented. It seems more planned out. But then you've got things like he doesn't get rid of his weapon, or, the piece that's giving away the bullet can be changed in that weapon. I mean, that's, a real easy thing to do. He didn't do much to cover his tracks. He immediately contacted, law enforcement and speaks with them and doesn't hold anything back, doesn't try to come up with anything to cover for himself. But then it makes you think, are all those things purposely planned out to make it seem like you're just this average Joe guy? It just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
I just want to say this again.
Yeah.
142 people watching, 93 likes. Can you guys give it to 100? Can we do that?
How many I have?
Very much. Did you like the video, Adam? Did you like?
I did.
Okay.
I have 56 likes.
Okay.
And if I could just finish up my thought there. The reason I bring this up is I think that part of this might be why law enforcement is so hung up on there being more than one person involved. I really think they're reading the scene and they're reading the individual that they have, and they're saying a lot of things just don't match up, but enough matches up to say he was there. And I think that they're seeing more than one person's actions involved.
Right.
Okay, 96 people have liked. You can post and get a shout out if you're the 100th person. I'm watching you.
Yeah, I had not liked it. I just realized that I had not liked it, Sonny, so I went and liked it.
Mm-hmm. I'm just sitting here on the like page waiting for it to 97.
Do
97.
you want to play your video, Sonny?
Yeah, in just a second now. I'm waiting 98. I'm waiting for the 100th person to call out their name to say that they were the 100th person. And watch, somebody's gonna unlike it. Shh, don't do that. So that they can be that 99. That's it. We're getting there. It's a turtle race, but we're getting there. Come on. So who's the 100th person? One more person needs to hit that like. 101. There was 2 people that tied. So there's 2
Right.
people that tied. Anyone want to admit to who the 101 person was?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciated. And make sure, Adam, you drop your link to get your thumbs up over there too. Anyways, if you want to shout out for your name, says you're saying 103 to you now. Well, I was literally watching it at the time I was saying it, and it was like 100 and 101. Went right from
Yeah,
99.
if anyone's not subscribed to me, I've got to go over to It's a Crime Shame now.
Yeah.
Put that in there.
Lewis, did you finish your thought fully yet?
Yeah. Just like I was saying that he fits everything with an organized criminal, but a lot of the things match up with disorganized. So maybe that's why they're so stuck on more than one person involved. You know, maybe that's the thing that they're looking at, not all the other hypotheses that we have with, you know, communications and Keegan Kline and all that. Maybe there's just the fact that there's so many things that point to both types of criminal, not just one. And he fits one type, not both.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could just ask chat. Disorganized, D for disorganized, or organized for O. D or O. D-O, O-D. O-D, there we go. O-D. Well, let's do D-O, though. It sounds better on there. Do you guys think he's considered organized? If you guys think it's just R-A, or, I mean, if you don't think it's him at all, you can just hit,
Right.
you know.
While everyone's doing that, Lala, I'm not sure. Lala says, do comments in the chat affect the algorithm as well as giving a thumbs up? I don't believe that the chat has anything to do with the algorithm.
Mm-mm.
Oh, Deb says yes, it does. Huh.
I'm gonna have to go listen to a video and see if it actually does.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. And I like Hudis. I like your idea, your characterization of that organized chaos.
I mean,
that was my entire childhood.
I just went. Oh wait, let me see. Grandma watches. I thought I had like when I went to. Grandma.
As long as you liked on my channel, Grandma, that's all that matters.
Does it come? So I'm gonna have to check on that because see, when you upload a video, YouTube scans it, and when they scan it, it's scanning your thumbnail, it's scanning your description, and it's scanning all that. So if that's the case, then it would seem plausible that perhaps. But I want to know more of the truth about that, to be honest, and just see. I'm gonna go to MrBeast, see what he says. So just for the fact of when you are uploading a video, they say that it scans all that stuff. So we'll see. Lisa, on point then. Unlike Hudis, who's like, oh, I come give you my sarcasm all the time, but I didn't hit that like button for you guys. Yeah. Anyways, let me click this video really quick. I'll just make it full screen. It's not it's just a very short part of it, but let's listen. And
they believe they went missing and she didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but that was really it. So it was very, very scary for Abby and Libby's families. And then the next day, February 14th, Valentine's Day, their bodies were sadly found.
We were looking underneath the bridge, and as soon as we'd gotten back to the private drive, somebody yelled up the hill that they'd found a shoe. And knowing that I dropped the girls off and I remembered what they were wearing, I knew exactly what shoes my sister and Abby were both wearing. So as soon as they yelled up what type of shoe it was, I knew exactly whose it was. It wasn't long after they told us that they'd found the shoe that a searcher found the bodies of the girls.
The girls' bodies were was on the bridge right after the time that they believe they went missing, and she didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but that was really it. So it was very, very scary for Abby and Libby's families. And then the next day, February 14th, Valentine's Day, their bodies were sadly found.
We were looking underneath the bridge, and as soon as we'd gotten back to the private drive, somebody yelled up the hill that they'd found a shoe. And knowing that I dropped the girls off and I remembered what they were wearing, I knew exactly what shoes my sister and Abby were both wearing. So as soon as they yelled up what type of shoe it was, I knew exactly whose it was. It wasn't long after they told us that they'd found the shoe that a searcher found the bodies of the girls.
The girls' bodies were found about a half mile from the bridge and were also found on the edge of a private property line.
I was totally defeated. That morning, I had actually packed a bag with a granola bars and a blanket, and then hoping that the girls would need them. They would be up the next morning, and we headed out to look again. We were all put into groups, and then I was put into the group that actually got to cross the bridge, and the others stayed behind to look on the wooded area that's over on the other side.
They brought in drones and dogs, and they even had a dive team search that creek that they were hanging around near the bridge. They went to...
Okay, so I played it a few times just so you guys could hear it again, because she said her words were, we got back up to the bridge and went to the private drive, and then a searcher yelled up.
Yeah.
So she said, we got back up to the bridge.
We got back up to the private drive.
Sorry,
under the bridge.
We're under the bridge and got back up to the private drive. See, I didn't hear that part in my head. We got back up to the bridge. Or sorry.
Hey, Sonny, when you're on the southeast end, when you go down that side of the bridge down to the private drive, you then have another drop that brings you down close under the bridge where the water is.
Correct.
Yeah, we were looking below the bridge and got back to the private drive. That's what she said.
Yeah. I mean, by looking at actually where I stopped there, that's the private drive side over there.
Yeah.
And then it drops. Like you can see the private drive. I think. Well, I can't point to it, I guess. I think the private drive, you can see it here. Right between the trees here. Let me just go. Okay. Where's that?
Now, Sonny, if I remember correctly, when they came in to search that day, they came in from the private drive?
They met at the firehouse and then they sent the search teams out. So I believe, some of them did come out from there and some came from the north end. I believe Kelsey came from the north end because I know her and Cody crossed the bridge. But I wanted to highlight Alexa's comment.
Yeah.
Really quick, I just wanted Alexa, while you're looking for that, Sunny, I wanted to highlight this. She says, "You guys have to understand that an organized versus unorganized isn't based on the regular definition of what we think is organized versus unorganized." And then she said, "An organized K has to do with planning, method, the way K approaches the victim. Usually, these types have antisocial personalities, etc." And then she said, unorganized is usually impulsive, makes mistakes, has less planning, and usually a lesser intelligence.
Hey.
Thank you, Alexa.
Yeah, but actually, if you're a psychopath and you're actually in a relationship and you fit all the criteria of an organized person, you would actually have more traits of a disorganized person when that comes to be, because actually in your head, most of your life is going on as a single person living by yourself and alone. You put yourself into a different situation and everything you're doing is an act or fake. So that's why I've always said from earlier on with RA that I think he is a psychopath, not a sociopath, because in order for the crime scene to have so many tendencies of organized, but from display of the disorganized traits, that he would have to be on the psychopath level, not sociopath level.
Yeah. You're 100% correct. It was on the 13th that she and Cody crossed the bridge. You were right.
Yeah, on the 13th. You're right. And
Yeah,
on
the 14th, they met at the firehouse, and they came in the vehicles, and most of them came to the private drive and parked on either side of the water. That's why they were concerned about leaving room for when they were bringing the boats in, and the scanner reports go through a lot of that, where there was confusion between when the other teams were coming in, and the sheriff decided to go as opposed to waiting to continue with business as usual when they were down there. There's a lot of stuff from those scanner reports that aren't online as easy to get to anymore, but those were always great reads in the beginning for a lot of little tidbits and facts.
Mm-hmm. What are you doing there, Sunday? Sunny, I meant.
Of course not.
Not Sunday.
Sunday.
It's Sunday.
Day of the week, whatever.
Sunday fun day.
It's because Sunday fun day, so I'm like sunny, funny.
Yeah.
Well, for you and I, Adam, it's Sunday. For
Yeah.
Sunny, it's not Sunday yet.
Every day is Sunday fun day for Sunny.
It's 10:39, people.
Yes.
Do you guys know where your beds are?
Did they have that in Canada, Sunny?
What?
It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah. It was one of my expressions that I've used a lot. Do you know where your kids are?
Yeah, we used to have that. It would always come on because where I grew up in Illinois, it was Central Time, and so our news was on at 10 o'clock, whereas living on the East Coast, the news is on at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
But they would always say, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, home.
That was one of the hardest things to get used to, Adam, going from Eastern to Central Time. What was when shows and everything started, that 8, 9, 10 o'clock hour.
Yeah. It was hard. I think it was difficult moving from Central to Eastern because it felt so much later.
Yeah.
And now here I am at 1:40 in the morning on a YouTube show.
Okay, so if this is the bridge, I'm doing this for the sake of something else. If this is the bridge, and from the bridge you can see where the crime scene area is, which is because I think about where this is here. So what I'm thinking about here as I'm looking at this myself is that those items were on a certain piece of land. Now this is the next day, so it couldn't be this because obviously that's too high. And you can see where it's submerged. So
when is this from, Sunny?
Oh, this is from the day of the 14th.
Okay, so the footage we're looking at. So this is the water level on the 14th. Okay, thank you.
I was just trying to look myself going, because those items are obviously on the water there somewhere where it's on, what do you want to call that little,
Island?
bushel, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And you can see where on the picture, wherever that picture went over here. Well, you can't see it on this because I cropped it. But there's water kind of on both sides of this. And this is obviously the shadow. Oh, that's what's doing that probably. That's the shadow. That's the shadow of the person that's taking the picture.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Who just thank you. That'll be awesome. Who just said remind me later today and I'll get the Dropbox link to all the scanner stuff.
Oh,
I have it somewhere, but it's so buried in my stuff. That would be awesome.
I was gonna say I have it somewhere too, and it's so buried that I'd have to literally scroll back on somebody's.
It's like a year. Yeah, it's got to be a year back in my stuff at least.
Alexa said, I think she meant to say you can't say one fits all. As there's different types of psychopaths. Yeah, like Adam, what type are you?
I'm actually a sociopath, technically.
So let me ask you go back to that. So psychopath versus sociopath. So you have Richard Allen, who worked at the CVS, and everyone said that he was like a really nice guy, and that they would have never put him as the BG, that he was he was quiet, but yet he was came across like a really decent, nice guy. So would that fit into the mold of a psychopath versus a sociopath? If
Good point.
like, I don't know.
Who dis? From here, I read, I'm a cocopath. I was like, oh, well, who dis? No wonder you stay up so late.
Or no, who dis is a Fruit Loop. There's a difference. Yeah.
Fruitcake.
Cocoa. I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yeah. But anyway, that would be great. Who dis? And hi, Diamond. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, this is what I really wanted to talk about today. So really, we can leave it to the people that are watching right now, who's ever watching. If you guys now, we can go more to the questions. If you guys, I know we've been answering questions as it's been going along as well, but unless there's something else somebody wants to bring up between Adam and Lewis, tonight I've talked about what I wanted to personally.
Same. Yeah, I think I think we've had a good little a good little live, 2 hours and 41 minutes. Yeah.
Well, again, just as
I love an impromptu live.
Oh yeah, you know what? Those ones are always the funnest, to be honest with you. It's the ones where you just go, "Hey, Adam, ready? Okay, yep. We're gonna talk. I plan on talking about this." And even then, sometimes I don't even say that. Just like Delphi. I mean, we know Delphi.
And Sunny and I both know each other well enough to know as soon as one of us goes, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
we know what it means.
So my answer right back was, "Want to do it live?"
We both have done it to each other.
It was cutting to the chase. You know exactly where that conversation was going.
Hey, what are you doing?
That's where I gave you that little comment back. Yeah, just contemplating life or death, basically. And that's when he said, "Make sure you leave me your password."
I said, "Well, if you end up on, I said if you pick death, make sure you leave me your YouTube studio password."
But yeah, so again, if you guys do have any questions, hey, I just saw people leave. There's people leaving because they have questions.
If you've got 5 minutes to talk about something, I would like to. If you,
Absolutely, everyone stay put, people. We all know that.
In this case, it was mentioned as staging, and I know Alexa, from what Adam said, brought up staging and posing earlier, and I don't know if people know the difference between the two. And the reason my mind path goes one way is because staging was mentioned, and it's always been hinted that what was done at the scene was to throw things off and to make it look different. And usually posing is what the term they use when there's actually something done by the offender because of their fantasies. And this is something that they've planned out. And since they use the word staging, I've always considered the fact that they've known something that we didn't know as to what was done and the motive behind the crime. Because that's a telling word to use to differentiate between different motives and the type of mindset of the offender.
Right.
If they'd said posing, then I would think that this was all a fantasy and something planned out well in advance. And I think we've all been on the path of it not being that because of the word staging being used.
Deb said, "Oh, 5 minutes really means 2 hours." Well, Deb, what better do you have to do?
Deb doesn't know us too well, does she?
What are you going to go sleep, Deb?
Yeah.
And Alexa, I agree, Alexa, but
unless someone can say differently, in the affidavit it said that the items were found south of the crime scene. Yeah. So if the crime scene is approximately here, is that actually, hold on, this is the bridge. That I have to get myself organized in thoughts. It's before here.
Lewis, I don't know if you're, since you don't have the chat open, Lewis, Lala said yes, where the clothes and shoes, where were the clothes and shoes in relation to the girls?
Oh, okay. Thank you, Adam, because I can't see it.
Yeah,
hold on a second.
And I think they were on that little island there. I think they were to the right of where we're looking right now. Personally,
I want to make sure that I think I'm facing the right way, right, Lewis?
Yeah, you are. You're on the south because you're the picture that you're. at right now is taken from the south end of the bridge.
Give me a sec here. Yeah, it's taken from the south.
Because you can see it's up over land. And the way the curve of the water goes, that's the so the girls are, kind of north of where the screen is right there. Alexa, I'm sorry.
Sometimes I get turned around myself because I'm like, hold on.
I think that you're on the southeast end of the bridge,
Yeah.
facing north, facing on
where they were found.
Yeah, you're sort of facing that area in between the cemetery and Ron Logan's property.
Yeah.
And that looks to me like the sandbar that is just to the east of the bridge. So if you were on the southeast end of the bridge and you were starting to walk, that would be east of the bridge, but north of the end of the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I personally think those items were found along the bank of the sandbar somewhere.
Well,
and I think it was on the far edge of it, which is why I think you can see water on both sides.
Well, I was going to say, and it could be right here, perhaps.
Well, I think it's on the other side on the other end of the sandbar, personally, just because of the width.
Back over here.
Just because of the width of it. Just further to the northeast of where we're looking.
Let me bring up my one picture. Hold on, this one. Okay, this is. Oh, let me take this one off of there. Whoops. Okay. This is the where the searchers are. This is the crime scene. So if we look over here, that, I have to ask myself now if that was the actual day footage, and this, or maybe it's just because it's blurrier over here, but that looks like, like a big chunk, like the lamb, but that almost looks like it's underneath water there. This is the crime scene. That's the searchers. And then, water.
Well, that's also the thing. They just had walked through. They had come from that side. They had come from that way. They were walking towards the bridge. So they're also trekking up mud and everything from the bottom of their feet as they're walking in the water.
Yeah.
So that could just be mud coming up to the surface of the water.
And I am trying to pinpoint it. I have been trying to look at it to actually pinpoint it. But what happens is that even if the angle is just changed a little bit, because it's really hard when you're seeing different pictures and you're trying to associate it with where the crime scene is to where the trees are, and in a sense because of the different way it looks. So I'm always trying to look for the trees to be, the trees or the water, what's in the water, to kind of be my guide. But it's kind of like, as in itself, it's kind of like a mind meld, because I have a picture that I just had up there that looks very similar to this, but yet you're looking at the trees to find exactly the placement. So although I know that the crime scene is here, I'm trying to pinpoint too, knowing that those articles are on this piece of dead grass or whatever you want to call it, shrubbery, and then there's a stick that's coming out. So obviously the footage from the 14th, it's not as easy. Let me put it this way. It's not that easy to sit there and try to pinpoint exactly. But if I can find that same look that happened on the 14th is what we're looking at in that picture, because we don't know for sure. But according to the affidavit, it's saying that it's south of the crime scene, and obviously south would be back this way.
Oh, it says south of the crime scene?
South, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right, it does. Who just says, because of the way the creek curves, more trees between the bridge and the scene than what is in that pic. Okay.
Okay, who does? Because I do have one too, but it's buried somewhere.
Who does? Just remind me to remind you, and then send it.
Dave says, Alexa, if he just moved them out to be out of view, would that be considered staging?
I think Alexa had she had the coronary, and then now it's too late. She's just laid out on her floor.
She's on the floor. She probably is. Maybe she gave her a heart attack.
There's a great article that describes it, and I think I've got it somewhere in my phone history, because I save a lot of this stuff to read it when I'm offline. Let me see if I can find it here real quick.
You know, it's so funny. As we said that, you know, ask questions, all of a sudden it dropped to 117 viewers. Now it's back up to 137 because they know.
I went down to 10 in my chat.
Oh, you guys, get over. You guys need to get over to Adam's. You guys watch this live from Adam's channel. Like,
Okay.
no, honestly, go watch it from Adam's channel.
Would you like a professional description of the two things? That way, there's no controversy in chat. This is from Psychology Today. This is from Psychology Today. It's from Scott Bond. He's a PhD. He writes Wicked Deeds, and this one is based on serial killers' modus operandi, signature, staging, and posing.
SK.
I was reading the title. Sorry about that.
You're going to learn with us. You're going to learn with us.
Yeah.
Are we yellow, Sonny?
I think so. I don't think it matters.
All right, so I'm going to skip through the definitions of organized and disorganized and all that in case you want me to read them later. I do have them, and modus operandi and that type of thing ties into staging and posing. But I'll get right down to the staging and posing if you want me to read that.
Sure. And then maybe you can put that in the Facebook group for.
I'll post the link to this article in the group when we get done.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, it says the FBI profiler may also encounter deliberate alterations of the crime scene or the victim's body, positioning of the scene of the unliving. If these alterations are made for the purpose of confusing or otherwise misleading criminal investigators, then they are called staging, and they are considered to be part of the unliver's MO. So I'll repeat that again. They're called staging and considered part of the unliver's MO if these alterations are made for the purpose of confusing or otherwise misleading criminal investigators. On the other hand, if the crime scene alterations only serve the fantasy needs of the offender, then they are considered part of the signature and they are referred to as posing. Sometimes the victim's body is posed to send a message to the police or public. For example, with Jack the Ripper sometimes posed as victims' unclothed bodies with their legs spread open to shock onlookers and the police in Victorian England.
Yeah, you guys don't give Lewis a hard time in chat there a little bit. He's reading directly to you guys. So we know that Alexa is a criminal profiler. But even I'm sitting there enjoying listening to it, you know, as if it's
a good article. I know the article Lewis is talking about.
Yeah, I read this years ago, and I've always bookmarked it in my history here because it really gives some good information out. He's a well-written, PhD author. He's got some amazing works done in Psychology Today and some other publications. But I'll put that in the group so people have it. Yeah. It's a short article. It's probably a 3 to 4 minute read, but it goes through all the factors that fit into what we've been discussing.
Yeah, and I think it's a good article for people to read at the end of the day because, you know, I mean, I like to visually see things too myself. Like, I mean, we know that Alexa's a profiler, and she knows exactly what staging and posing is. But sometimes I do like to read things as well. So I appreciate the fact that you read that because it was for others as well. And that's never to take away from Alexa, who,
it reinforced what Alexa said.
Yeah. Yes, I can't read what she said, so I'm just going off the fact
it reinforced exactly kind of what she had said earlier about.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And that's why with what they said early on with Delphi, I've come to different conclusions than a lot of other people do because of them using those words. And that tableau and all that would have been considered posing, and I don't think that's what was done. I think what was specifically done is staging.
Yeah. The only caveat I'll put to that is that, sometimes I question when, like Robert Ives, like someone's saying in the chat right now, like when Robert Ives says signatures, yes, he uses a very technical word, but, does he understand the definition of a signature when he says it? And so, so even when I hear law enforcement say sometimes, posing versus staging, is the person saying it, do they understand because it is so easy to misconstrue the difference between it if you're not.
It really is.
If you're not, so yes, I always like to go by law enforcement and what they say, but there is that part of my that sometimes it goes, well, is the person that's saying this, do they know the difference between posing and staging?
Yeah, I think
And
that's
whereas if it's someone from a behavioral crimes unit, I would absolutely assume they're gonna, know the definition and never mess up on that. But when it's, someone from Carroll County, Indiana, no offense to Carroll County, but
yeah,
it's not something they've had to deal with very often. Here, we've had 5.5 years to talk about posing, staging, organized, disorganized, and we still get confused.
Yeah.
And, so here they are.
Yeah, I can give you a great point, and you make a great point there. And the reason that backs up my thoughts is from Ives' position, it's not coming from law enforcement. It's coming from somebody that had direct contact with the papers and the warrants that were written up by the FBI. And I'm sure that at this point, the FBI put together a profile, and he's copying words that he used from stuff that was given to him in his position towards the warrants. So that's why I really even stronger feel that was a word that was put into his head purposely. And I don't think he went looking for a word to describe the scene. I think from the way he spoke in that interview, those were words that were given to him with the description of different warrants and stuff that he's had privy to see that we've not. And we all know the FBI jumped in right away to do that. And all those warrants came from the FBI for Ron Logan. So that makes me strongly believe that word was given to them by the FBI and was part of a profile. And it was not given to him by somebody in law enforcement on the Carroll County side or the Delphi side.
Yeah, and you're probably 100% right. I always try to think of that in my head, though, that,
Well, I remember when I had to go over different documents in law, and everything was always written, just like the other night when you're reading that, how boring everything sounded, and how particular they are with their wording.
Legalese.
If the FBI is writing up the paperwork needed to get these warrants, and Ives has to go in here and actually look at them and sign off on that, he's going to be using words that are given to him by the investigators that are writing up these warrants and the affidavits. And that's why I've always said, if he used that word specifically, they have more understanding of this case than we do. And this was not really a sexually motivated thing. And it was not based on the offender being somebody that went there for that as their motive. I think there's some more confusion involved and things were known by them that planned this to look like something it's not. And that's why I've always gone back to that whole thing with, I think this was something that was designed to be one thing and turned into something else.
Yeah, like up on the screen there, Alexa says, I don't believe already did the crime scene to confuse. Sorry, guys. Ellie to believe it was the S word. I don't believe.
No, I don't think anyone's ever considered them committing that. That's
was it meant to look like a different way where the bodies moved? Correct. I'm gonna believe that is true because
I think if there was any I'm sorry, Sonny. I apologize.
That was it. Go ahead.
I would say I believe if there was any misdirection intentionally put on the crime scene, I believe it would have been to throw off motive.
Yeah.
Versus, anything else. But again, who knows? I mean, I know we've heard that, but in my opinion, that would just be the only reason that there would have been any misdirection there.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been to point the finger at someone else. I think it would have been to point the finger at a different motive.
Yeah, correct. Or to create the possibility of a serial person as opposed to a planned event for just these two.
Well, the thing is, I mean, Alexa, in your experience, how many SKs literally put a bunch of objects at the crime scene to try to throw it off to look like something different?
Let's go non-secular.
Different, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lala, exactly.
The type that would redress their victim and to make it look like it was a nicer situation. Not try to hide the victim.
Yeah.
Which, once again, that's why I think that they use that word staging, because you've got a crime that looks like it's possibly one person at that time early on, and you've got two completely different scenarios with how they treated the victims. that's an organized person being disorganized, and then that's why I keep going back to the psychopath over sociopath argument in my head.
Mm-hmm.
A loner that's not a loner lives a normal life but doesn't live a normal life. Infatuation over a victim treats them differently than the other. A rough, violent attack on the one that's not the motive, and then a calculated attack on the one that is. There's so many mixed signs of organized and disorganized. I'll put this article up because I think people actually have a better understanding if they read this one. This is probably one of the only articles I've read that's put in it like normal words where somebody can understand this and actually put a picture in their head of the differences.
It is a very good article.
Yeah, send whatever to me and I'll post it on the community
Oh,
page
okay.
as well.
Yeah, it is an article I've had bookmarked for a long time.
Yeah, I think it came out in 15 or 16. It came out before Delphi. It was one of the first articles I looked up when I was analyzing what was done here and the way they were describing things. And
yeah, it's an excellent article.
Yeah, I've got a few more of his saved too. He's great with what he writes.
Well, thank you.
I said Lisa had said in the chat that she was planning on going to the trial, and I said, well, I would like to go as well. And so Lisa said, Aspen, I will have on my Team Deb shirt. Well, good, Lisa. So will I.
Sonny, I sent that to you. I don't know if it went through because I'm having issues with the other phone getting a good signal here. We've got storms coming through, but I think it went through. It doesn't show on my side if it went through or not. So
yeah, I see it. I'll just I'll copy it and post it.
I think Diamond Eyes in the chat said she had 2 feet of snow. That's
oh wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
didn't get a lot.
Where Diamond Eyes is,
we
but
got like frozen rain coming down, and yesterday was snow on and off mixed at night. And
yeah, my aunt that was in town today from Rochester, she drove to Arnold, Missouri yesterday, and then 2 days ago, and then she drove from Arnold, Missouri to Charlotte, North Carolina today. Last night and today, and she drove through a ton of snow between Rochester to Arnold, Missouri to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
But she was helping my other aunt move some stuff because we moved my other aunt into an assisted living facility a couple of weeks ago.
Closer to where you guys are, or no?
Yeah, she was in Arnold, Missouri, but she was on her own, and she's got Parkinson's and the early signs of some other things, and so she moved out here, and she's been at my parents' house for the last 3 months.
Oh, okay.
Waiting for something to open up, so my other aunt went out from Rochester, New York to Arnold, Missouri to move her personal belongings out.
Rochester's not a bad area.
No, it's a nice area. It's
nobody.
A lot of driving from Rochester to Arnold, Missouri to Charlotte, North Carolina in 2 days in the middle of a snow.
You used to have a lake house near the Newburgh Beacon Bridge. It's not a bad. But one of I used to do a lot of pit bull rescues in New York because back in the 90s there were no kill shelters for them. They couldn't even adopt them out. So there was like an underground railroad for American Staffordshires and pits. And one of the best American staffs I ever rescued was out of Rochester and Animal Hospital. He was 3 months when I got him at 75 pounds, and the dog got to be 130 pounds. He was huge.
Mm-hmm. That's sorry. So I did post that article, by the way, on the community page, and
good.
Awesome.
Absolutely, Deb. That's a mind boggler in itself. I mean, there's so many mind bogglers to this case, to be honest with you. Jay Moon keeps thinking of Galentine's Day, and nobody who's FBI Ted Gunderson. To be honest, I'm not sure. I've probably heard the name. I don't know.
Or the Finders.
Sure, probably not. I've never researched into whoever.
Is he one that had to retire because of the? Oh no, I know. Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
And Angel Sim, yeah. Why do you think a perpetrator would leave such items at a scene? Well, again, obviously I guess we just really don't know, because obviously to misdirect to something else instead of what it truly was about. And again, I see cameras there, so You know, I mean, there's many things that have referred to about taking pictures and, you know, about photographs and souvenirs and, you know, even in, I think it was in that same, was it this one? Based upon my training experience, it's custom for perpetrators of this type of crime to take a souvenir or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene, whether by photos or electronic or digital methods, you know, that are then downloaded to, you know, blah, 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 blah. You know, again, I just pray that one day some of these questions, or all of them, or most of them, can be answered for us.
Yeah.
So that we know
and
the
you know,
truth.
2026 when the trial happens.
Right?
No, I bet you it's going to be sealed, and you're going to have him come out and say, "Today's not the day."
Yeah. Today is not the day.
Oh,
He's
come on, guys.
going away, but today is not the day.
Yeah. How many is anyone in here planning on going to the trial when it happens?
I would like to go.
Yeah.
I'll probably try to arrange to go.
Yeah, Louis, eh?
I mean, I'm close enough. It's not like it's a huge
You're close
deal.
enough. And you can provide us some great coverage too.
Sure.
Lisa said you gotta love some Aspen. You know, I've been trying to tell my parents that for years, Lisa. I just wish they'd listen.
Are they away? Yeah.
I think the skiing is better in Shawnee than it is in Aspen. I've skied both.
I don't think Ives will come back. Do you guys?
No.
I think we would have heard from him at this stage if he planned on following through with what he said. I don't think they would allow. I don't think that the team that's in place now would allow him to come back. They've already talked about having to hire outside help, and they've not even mentioned him being included in that.
I think, personally, I think this Nick McClelland, after he became prosecutor, look at that one press conference, but it almost like he spoke like he was almost part of the investigative team, which I know prosecutors can be considered part of an investigative team sometimes. But he almost made it sound like he was like directing everything in the investigation. So I don't think he would willingly go into the night silently.
No. I don't think he's the type of person to let somebody step in that might upstage him.
No, I think he wants this.
And any fact of I've stepped
nothing wrong with that.
If I've stepped back in, that would be news headlines because he's following through with what he said he was going to do, and that would take away from the case and put him as a person. And I don't think that they're open to do that with the prosecution. They want less of a sideshow than it is now. They don't want more of a sideshow in the media.
And personally, I think Robert Ives just got to look at this. He's got to be far enough removed from this at this point that I don't remember when he made that statement that he would come back if asked.
I think, wasn't that in 2019?
19.
I believe it was long ago enough that I believe if asked again today, he would probably give a different answer because he's been retired now for 5 years.
Right. Well, there's questions on whether he's so far retired that he would actually be allowed to participate.
Right. And I've heard that his health has not been great. I don't want to speculate because I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just don't see that happening for a plethora of reasons.
Do you guys know why he stepped down? Was it because of the case that it was just like...
No, his term was up.
Was that what it was? Thank you. He
didn't run for re-election. He was kind of retiring.
He chose to not run again.
Yeah.
There you go. A lot of people were kind of thinking about why he did. Someone said he was sick. Someone said, that he stepped down because of the case. So I knew there was an answer. I just couldn't remember it.
Yeah,
I hope they don't ask for a plea deal. Do you think there will be a plea deal in this case?
No.
I hope not.
I don't think so either.
I think they're going to hold the state responsible for proving what they need to prove, and my thoughts on that. I think that this is done, and they're going to prove what they want to prove because they're not bringing up the main crime.
It always makes me laugh when I see the word BS because it's a term
Yeah.
used for you're full of
It's
BS.
what?
When the term, so Lex says I have a BS in science. So
Yeah, it's always, you always get that when you've got a bachelor's in science and you're going to write that down. It's always like a head shaker.
I feel like this Shadow Seeks
Hey,
Justice.
Shadow.
I think that she's way behind on what
Probably.
it is she's
But
watching.
that's okay.
She's
Thank you
probably
for the replay
watching where
crew.
it says boy.
Well, the reason I shut my other phone off before is chat wasn't updating properly, and that's why I was so behind on it. I couldn't read anything in there when I jumped in and made my comment, and then all of a sudden it jumped and caught up. So I was like, shut it off.
Oh, you know what I just thought of?
Oh.
Who dis is probably in the middle of making nookie.
Tina, you asked me this before. I remember Sunny went off on you because she thought you were attacking me. Very interesting. I didn't remember that until this moment. I don't even remember what it was about. So what was it? What did Tina say? Where's Tina's comment?
I'm still wondering what kind of cookies that Adam said she was making. She's making cookies?
No, remember who just said I have to go make nookie?
Nookie.
And then I'm going to bed. And so I said, it just popped into my head that Hudis is probably in the middle of making nookie right now.
I was joking. She's making cookies.
Yeah, I think there was something worded there where I felt like she was attacking your credibility or something. I can't remember now. To be honest with you, if I did, I'm sorry, Tina. If I read.
Good name, though. I like that name, Tina Vegas.
Seems so interesting. I can't help it. It reminds me of a pole.
I like it. You like a pole?
Yeah. A dirty dancing pole. If this is a capital trial with ultimate punishment considered, is it required that the prosecutor has experience in such cases?
I don't know what, Lewis, do you know Indiana state law when it comes to being certified to do, like, we've talked about the prosecutor in Idaho being one of a handful of people in the state that are certified to do a DP case. Do you know if what Indiana's law is as far as prosecuting?
No, I've not looked in to see what the requirements are for that. And I'm assuming they do have certain criteria, which is why the Richard Allen defense team is so high caliber, because they probably only have certain people at that level of caliber or qualification to do that pro bono.
Right.
So, and you're not going to get the average pool of people that are at the courthouse or with their offices around the courthouse. It's going to be, high profile attorneys, which once again, that probably means higher requirements. But what the certification level is for that, I don't know. I'm sure there is some level they've got to meet.
We'll ask. I'll ask Kevin Greenlee.
Yeah, ask Kevin.
Alexa, thank you for being so classy. She said, Tina Vegas, you see, no, never be scared to ask as long as you do it respectfully. I will always try to answer. Yeah, Alexa's great about that. Thank you.
I want to say this again, Tina. If I read something wrong that I thought you were attacking Alexa, my apologies.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry.
Yeah. So Tina was like, I was scared to follow up on there because.
I wasn't saying Sunny isn't classy. I was just saying Alexa's always responds so classy. Thank you.
So just
was that the one night that you just went crazy off on somebody when they made that one comment? I'm thinking that might have been it.
Wait, Sunny, could you have him be more specific?
I know.
I was being general on purpose. That one time, that one night with that one person.
I mean, there's been a few, so maybe just narrow it down to the actual name.
I was giving you an out. I was giving you an easy way of saying, yeah, that was the time.
Well, actually, I thought you were actually adding to the fire pit.
No, I was trying to de-escalate and give you an out.
So here we have Kevin Greenlee speaking through Deb right now, and and Deb says a public defender has to be certified for DP in order to take a DP case. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the hair. It's the dead giveaway.
That makes logical sense. So
going back to what Greenlee said, if it has to do with death in comic books, he's probably certified, right? Didn't you say he was a comic book attorney?
Well, no, I know he's not an attorney for that. But I was just joking because we all know he's an attorney in India. But
yeah, that's why I said if it took place in a comic book, he's qualified because he's a comic book attorney.
Yeah, and I'm just playing. I like Kevin.
Yeah. That's why we joke around about him.
I like Kevin too. And I like the light socket that he uses for his hair every morning. It's just having fun.
I just like their tiny couch.
Mm.
I always think if Sunny and I were together, we'd be on the little couch. Like.
Although I'm not gonna lie though, seeing them on the Snaster, yeah, that kind of that took away some brownie credits there. In my book.
Lisa's such a Esther.
Yeah.
Alexa went to a lot of trouble printing up all those degrees.
I know, right? Well, if you didn't give her a
she did have to go to Staples to pick up the copies.
Yeah, and exactly.
Those things are not cheap at Office Max.
No. Anyways, let's go 10 more minutes and then end this live tonight.
Sure.
Again, if you guys could give a thumbs up and a like, we're streaming from Adam's channel, Aspen Connor's channel, and this channel over here. It's a YOLO live. Adam does need the views. So if you guys are in this channel, maybe for the next 10 minutes, speed on over to Adam's channel. Sorry, he needs the hour time. He's reached his 1K subs. Now so let me just put this out there for when Adam does. If you're not subscribed to Adam's channel, again, we work as a team here, and but Adam has his own channel that's Aspen Connor as well, and so in order for Adam to monetize his channel, he needs some more views. He's got the 1K subs now, so it would be very much appreciated if you guys go over there and hit the subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Again, and always Delphi content and other cases as well. I mean, yes, Delphi will pick up again, obviously.
February 17th is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's when the bond hearing is.
Yeah. The thing is that as this channel does diversify with other cases, we don't want to get put into that, one grouping. Delphi is our baby. Delphi we are close to. Delphi will always remain that way. And even if we had not done a live in a while prior to, like last week and before because of Idaho and stuff like that, it's just simply because, again, we do things organically as we can. We don't like to, just do a live on Delphi, just to talk about it when there are so many other cases out there that we want you to be, aware of and bring awareness to people. That's the whole point, is awareness to the missing, to the unalived, and just to keep putting voices out there or show you guys things that are going on. And it's kind of like, remember those 5 guys that escaped, and they finally caught them, a few days later. But it's stuff like that,
weeks, right?
Especially if these people are in your area. It's good to know and put out there things like that when 5 people had escaped, from the correction center there. And especially if they're in your area, people can be aware, that have no idea that these stories are going on. And it's because of everyone, and myself and everyone else included, that shares to the social media, that shares and brings awareness out there. And so, yeah, we just don't want to box ourselves, in a sense, when there's so many other people or families that maybe want to bring their case that perhaps has been a cold case, and they're looking for something because the news maybe doesn't cover their story for their missing person anymore, that that we can be able to reach out and say, hey, do you want to come on and bring more awareness back to a case that's maybe 7 years old or 5 years, whatever, and stuff like that.
Thank you to whoever just subscribed.
Oh, did somebody just subscribe right now?
on my channel.
Oh, okay, great, perfect. That's great.
And then I just wanted to say, really quickly, Deb had asked this earlier the other day in the group chat, and I didn't know the answer to it. Sonny, if you don't,
Sonny, how many subs do you have to go live from your phone?
I couldn't remember the answer to it. I remember Peace would know the answer because Peace, I think, went through this back in June. I remember Peace trying to do it during Pride, and I think it was 50 or 100, right?
I actually don't know the answer to that because, okay, so 50, because on a computer, all you have to do is hit request to go live, and it's a 24-hour time wait, but you can
you still have to wait 24 hours on your phone.
Yes, but you have to have 50 subs on your phone. Okay, I didn't know the answer. I don't use my phone hold on a second.
Sonny, is she asking about using it with StreamYard?
No, just YouTube. You have to, in order to go live on YouTube, you have to. There's certain requirements. I know the 24-hour thing. After you have to request to go live, and then you have to wait 24 hours.
Well, there's a workaround for that. That's why I'm asking. If you're using your mobile device, you hit the three dots in the top right corner, and click the box that says "Use Desktop," and then it'll log you in as if you're using a computer instead of a mobile device.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay.
I really don't think you have to have any subs if you do it the correct way, that you just got to wait the 24 hours to be able to go live like anybody, and you can use your phone number for 2 accounts per year. Yeah, which reminds me, on my think box when I went to go type in, it said, you have already used, I went to go use my husband's, you have already used, oh shit. So I'm like, and then I went to go use Google Voice to make one, and then it was like, you're in Canada, you can't use Google Voice.
Sorry.
No, I just wanted to use Google Voice so that we can have
make a phone number.
Yeah, but so you're gonna have to maybe do that, Adam, for us.
Okay.
Sonny, just download the app text free.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, text free works really well. That's what I use.
Yeah.
But is it one where people can call in off it as well?
Yeah, you'll get a dedicated phone number that works for text and voice. You only have to buy minutes to make calls out or in, but you can use texting for free, and there's ways to get minutes to talk too.
Yeah.
But
and it's actually
inexpensive. That link, Lewis?
Yeah.
Thank you. Just make sure it's the right one.
And then just to touch on, I know we were talking about covering other cases. Diamond Eyes, I'll be honest, that is a case that I have never touched. I know all about it. It's not a case I've ever touched because to me it goes to a different level of, one, it's tragic, and two, it's cuckoo.
I won't touch
after Delphi, I just don't have the emotional or the brain. I don't have the room in my brain to take on that case.
Yeah. I watched it for quite a while there until it went really cuckoo, and I couldn't handle it emotionally. It was too much. It was literally too much. It was kind of like Summer Wells. I backed off of Summer Wells for the same reason. I didn't go as deep into Summer Wells as
Lori Daybell. I went deep into that without, not on YouTube, but just personally. And I just didn't have the emotional space for it, and I didn't have room in my brain for it, to be honest.
Yeah. Ones like the Idaho 4, that's nothing really out of the ordinary in a sense. When you think about, zombies to Daybell case and zombies and all these weird things, kind of like the Summer Wells case, like all these ritualistic things coming up and things that are just way off the beaten path of what a normal, what typically happens in most cases. Usually it's a husband or a wife that got angry and, or maybe to a child. And those ones become kind of like what is deemed as norm. And then there's those cuckoo cases like Daybell and Summer Wells that just absorb too much to even understand the absurdity of cases like that. I was just like, no, thank you. So that one's not going to enter the list. Besides maybe when finally, they get the final thing for charges. And it was just really wacko, like the whole thing. the husband.
Yeah.
Too much.
So, and just to note, like, especially that little boy, JJ, I think his name is.
JJ. Mm-hmm.
Just to think about what probably happened to him and the sister. I mean, just it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's a Barry Morphew to me. He's disgusting. Chad.
Yeah.
And I mean, Lori is too. Lori's disgusting to me as well. But I mean, he gives me very Barry Morphew vibes.
Yeah. Chad Daybell.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Arrogance, conceit.
Yes.
Thinks
that little,
yeah.
that
little syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. Let's see. You know what? Let's do final thoughts. Again, chat. Appreciate a nice flowing chat full of definitely full of a lot of questions. Sorry if we didn't get to them all, of course. Sometimes there's like 10 questions that come out versus when you're trying to answer them and stuff like that. But anyways, appreciate that. Thanks for joining us tonight. And we're going to do final thoughts. And again, please hit that like and subscribe on both this channel and Aspen's channel. And please watch some of his vids. Adam just needs his view time. I'm not sure what he's at. Close about 600 view time hours still needs. And so that would be appreciated, of course. Yeah. Oh, I hear husband. Hi, husband.
Just put on a long video and go to bed.
Oh, husband made me dinner.
Yeah. Again, and Lala talks about Don Wells. That's another one. I've never gone very deep into Summer Wells because to me that case has been kind of cuckoo from the jump off.
Yeah.
Alexa, now the Missy Beavers case, that is a case that fascinates me, and I would like to. But we talked to Tom Webster about that. Sonny and I did about the Missy Beavers case a little bit.
We'll have to have Tom on.
Yeah, Tom would be the one because he's done such a really good dive into that case that he'd be the one I'd want to talk to us about it if we did cover it.
Yeah.
But he's not one to necessarily want to like regurgitate things either. So I don't know if he'd be interested in doing it. So, yeah. But maybe we'll see.
I just Adam would just bat his eyelashes.
I don't think that would work for Tom either.
He'd probably do a Q&A as opposed to doing a spot on it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll have to ask Tom. See if he would like to hear my cat meowing. And I want you guys to get jealous of what my husband.
What is that?
It is
pasta?
It's pasta with pepperoni and cheese on top. Okay? You guys are always talking
Don't look, Lewis. Don't look.
My husband's like, when he handed it to me, he's like, I didn't even realize what time it was because it's like 11:30 here.
I think he called me earlier because that's almost what I am having tonight.
Yeah. And 1 second, the cat's meowing. One sec.
Yeah, Missy Beaver's case is very frustrating.
I've got baked ziti with fresh Italian sausage and fresh mozzarella and shredded mozzarella and.
Isn't that funny? I had pasta tonight as well. I had cheese ravioli with cheese tortellini with Alfredo sauce.
Okay.
My husband.
Lala, 3:30 there. Where are you, Lala?
East Coast.
No, it's 2:30 on the East Coast. So you've got to be in like
right.
You've got to be in like Jamaica or
you in Newfoundland. Where are you, Lala?
Bermuda. Like I'm trying to think where 3:30 would be. Nova Scotia.
Oh, so I was right. Okay, wait, Nova Scotia.
Yeah, part of Nova Scotia winds up being in that time zone.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Newfoundland is 4.5 hours difference, I believe. Am I right, Lala? Newfoundland is 4.5 hours. Like, meaning I'm in BC, and Eastern would be 3. But Newfoundland is a whole different little ball of wax in itself. That's the one from the pond.
She's from Newfoundland, or they're from Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Newfoundland.
Yeah, it's 4.5 hour difference, I believe, because they had like this stupid half an hour thing, but it's all because of the whole,
Lisa, those are two of my favorite things: falafel and lentil soup.
Oh, I don't see my name there. Falafel. Anyways, did you guys give your final thoughts yet? Because I'm too busy staring at my warm.
We're apparently just talking about food. My final thoughts are: we'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, what's tomorrow? Sunday? Oh
Sunday?
Yeah.
Or tonight, technically.
Yeah. Adam has it all planned out for tomorrow.
No, I don't. It's all sunny. Tonight was my idea.
Smart ass. Yes, 4.5 hours in Newfoundland. Okay, but I didn't realize Nova Scotia. I would have never known that Nova Scotia was 4 hours different.
They've got more than one time zone in Nova Scotia, if I remember correctly.
Well, hey, Lewis, if you know more than I do about Nova Scotia, get on you then, because I didn't even know. I knew about 4.5 to Newfoundland, but I didn't know about Nova Scotia.
I'm going off memory. I want to, for some reason, I want to say there were 2 time zones there, but I could be wrong.
Alexa, yeah, Tom's only ever covered 2 cases, one being Delphi and the second being Missy Beavers. So I think the first case he ever covered was Missy Beavers, and he did a very good, very thorough, like 3 or 4 hour video on it, or 2 or 3, 4 hours, whatever. But
yeah, one time zone.
Yeah, it's a good watch.
So hold on, let me understand this. I need to understand this, Lala. So if Eastern is considered 3 hour difference, and Mountain Time and Central, or like, hold on.
Nova Scotia's Atlantic time zone, and then they actually observe daylight savings. That's why they do change. But
that's right. There's an Atlantic time zone, isn't there? Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Ooh, Miracle Hamburger Helper, yum.
Oh, Hamburger Helper. I love Hamburger Helper.
And their offset is 4 hours or 3 hours, depending on whether it's in daylight savings time or not.
Well, hey,
that's why I remember them having 2 different time zones.
Daylight savings
They
time
have one.
back up in 6 weeks.
Yeah, but the fact they've got one, but they actually observe daylight savings time, so it winds up switching.
Yeah.
Well, most of us do.
Not everywhere.
Yeah, except for Saskatchewan.
I mean, in the U.S., not everywhere.
Oh, not everywhere. I think it's
Arizona does it in parts of Indiana.
Yeah.
Parts of Indiana switch and other parts don't.
So confusing. Of course, Indiana would do that.
I know. I really wish that they would do what they said that they were going to do in the Pacific.
Leave it.
Just leave it alone. Give us our sun more. I want our sun more.
But it never occurred to me until I got into Delphi that it makes perfect sense that Indiana would partially abide by it and not the whole state.
Yeah. Newfoundland is in an Atlantic province. I don't even think of the Atlantic time, to be honest with you.
I forgot there was an Atlantic time.
Shit, yeah, same time. Anyways, Diamond Eyes is in Canada, yeah.
Yeah, Diamond Eyes is in
Ontario.
Toronto? Is it Ontario? Okay.
I think it.
Montreal? Or Ontario? No, it's Ontario.
Great Lobster and Shrimp, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sunny says standard time all year. Last night, Sunny said that Tuesday night we'll be on with the Drunk Turkey show at 8:30 Eastern Central Time.
Yeah. Right? I'm just checking something.
Radar. Tom Webster is who we're talking about.
Tomahawk. I call him Tomahawk now. Yeah. Anyways, Toronto. Oh, is it Toronto?
It is Toronto. Okay.
I thought it was Ontario.
I second guessed myself there.
Maybe that's where Nut Job is from. AASB is Ontario.
Oh, you doxed him now, Sonny.
Uh-oh. Come after me. Come on. Oh my God, I'm so scared. Please make another video. Make sure you include me this time. Darn it. I don't recall seeing that.
Radar, what about Mountain?
Yeah, what about Mountain, Radar?
What about Mountain Time, Radar?
See? Wait. 5:30 Pacific, Mountain.
6:30 Mountain.
Central.
7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. 9:30 Atlantic.
We just said 4.
Yeah, well, if you do Atlantic, yeah, because Atlantic is Atlantic is later than Eastern.
No, Pacific, Mountain, Central, and
Eastern.
That's 4 right there.
Yeah, and then Atlantic would be 5.
Yeah, so exactly. Change your tune fast after that. I said that, right? So wait, hold on a second. if everything is always deemed as, oh, let's get our brains on straight. If everything is always deemed as like a 3-hour difference, because it's 3-hour difference from here.
But there is a small part of Newfoundland that is an hour,
Yes.
hour and a half later.
Okay, Brainiac, but where does Mountain Time fit in?
It's 1 hour ahead of you.
Okay, and Central
2 hours.
and Eastern
3,
and Atlantic.
4, or 4.5.
But if I schedule a live and it's at 6:30,
It's 9:30 my time.
right, that's 3 hours. So in between the Eastern is Mountain
Central
and
and Mountain.
Yeah, but that would make it.
So 9:30 Eastern Standard Time
Yeah.
is going to be 8:30 Central Time,
6:30, 7:30, 8:30.
7:30 Mountain Time, and 6:30 Pacific Time.
I'm having a brain fart here. 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30.
9:30.
Oh, okay, that's 4.
I can see your brain. I knew what was happening.
Yeah, because I was going. Well, 6:30 to 9:30 is 3 hours.
I know.
But
That's what it's like 6:30, 7:30. It's not, but it's 4. Yeah.
yeah. Not the brightest bulb out there, but hey, get her done sometimes. I do use my fingers. Yeah. That's what was throwing me off there. Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna go eat this great dinner.
Sonny,
Yeah.
You're what GMT -8?
-8, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 7, depends on the
Ooh.
thing.
Yeah, the times of the daylight savings.
I'll say News Nation must know when I'm getting ready to go lay down in bed, because 2 things just popped up on my YouTube. They're like, is Brian Koberger, is the evidence strong enough? I'm like, oh, well, I'll watch that.
Louis, do you know what we're talking about on Tuesday for anyone that wants to know?
Well,
Just ask Lewis and Sonny.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were changing the day or not because of what was going on or what time you wanted to do, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to do a video because there was a service I used to, in the United States at least, it's legal to stream TV shows and movies and stuff, even if they're not released yet. And there was an app I used to use all the time for streaming that was really nice, and then the government shut them down because they were letting you download, and they found a loophole and they got in trouble. Well, there's another company came out with an app that really works well. A lot of people use it when they have, like Fire Sticks and stuff. But there's a way to put them onto mobile devices to use on your phone and to use on your tablet and stuff and your laptop. So I was going to do a video on how to download that, what site to trust, and how it works. And
yeah,
what's it called?
Yeah. The one that I use, let me take a look here and see, because I forget the name.
I used to use that thing called Cody, but I haven't done that in years because it was always annoying. I would pull it up and it would have like Asian subtitles or something.
Oh, the one I used to use, well, there was a way to get rid of those. I used to use, I think it was Black Box or Movie Box or something like that. They changed names a few times, but the one that works now, I think they've worked out all the kinks legally and they've made it to where it's 100% straight, and they even do advertisements. Is called TTV. Tea like a cup of tea, and then TV after it. And then you've got to download what they call the T player to use it properly. But it works well.
Oh, Jonathan Riches. Sorry.
Oh, does he have another one? Go figure.
Oh, I don't know. It's on mute, but he's in bed with a cat.
Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry, and only because he's so cheesy.
Who takes care of this poor cat when he's going across the country?
But do you ever notice when he always has little Jonathan Riches? Like I said, total con artist guy, right? Spent 10 years in jail for wire fraud, blah blah blah. Whatever. It's a guy like I hate to like and like to hate. But he cracks me up, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I almost have this hidden liking for the dude because he's
I joke with him, yeah. Someone in the Discord group, yeah, because he points all the time.
I
They
know.
photoshopped him into all different things pointing, and it's so
Pointing? I know. Oh, really?
It was Alex. Alex did it. It was so funny.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
He was like, and it was like him pointing at like different things.
But if you ever noticed in the like, I mean, honestly, the guy's got the whole, believe me vibe down pat. Not really, but kind of. Meaning, he purposely stands near flowers, to give that vibe. Like he knows how to play people. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, some people have a knack on YouTube in YouTube land for being able to do things, and he has a knack for portraying that.
15,000 people watched in 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. I mean, he knew when the Murdoch case wasn't giving him crap for views. Gotta go back over to Goldberger.
He says Dylan and Bethany witness protection.
Yeah, again, I mean, he just comes out with videos every couple hours, really, and like ants, those people go there to click on it because he does a good job of making you click on his things. I need to get better at that. Here you go, click. but
no question mark.
It's not like it's not part of the whole thing when people give you tips and tricks and that. I mean, it is. You want people to watch your video. So you don't. It's like you don't want to give them the whole cookie. You just want to give them the crumb to get them there, and then and then talk about what it is. So it's not like he's.
Sounds like my grandma. You don't want to. No one's gonna buy the cow if you give the milk away for free.
Right. I don't want to say that he's a bait clicker because I don't consider him that. I think that he's just. I think he actually does a good job at getting people to click on his stuff, and he knows those tricks of
I mean, the whole point is to create a good trailer to attract viewers. I mean, if you're not doing that, you shouldn't be making videos.
I think your content can stand on its own. Sorry.
People work a certain way, and that's the bottom line of it. People like gossip. People like drama. People like certain things, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The trends always show that. Night, guys. We're gonna go to here because my pepperoni and stuff is getting cold as we speak, and I'm sitting here. Every bite I'm tasting, I'm going, it's getting cold.
I might have a second helping of pasta now that you're having it.
Yeah. One of my favorite things is simply when you cook noodles, throw it in a shitload of butter, and then
butter and Parmesan.
Oh yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and before on your way out, if everyone can hit the thumbs up, we would really appreciate it, whether it be on my channel or Sunny's. Thank you.
Aw. That's so nice, Lola. Going to Alberta. I've spent half my life there, and Lola, I don't think of everyone as bad in Newfoundland. Just my definite ex-husband was a wolf in sheep's clothing, type of person. He just changed, and yeah. But I don't think badly of Newfoundland. It's just you associate a little bit. But Newfoundland, I went there one time when our son, who's 26 now, was getting dedicated. And he got his first little haircut in Newfoundland when he was a couple years old. So yeah, I seen Norris Arm North and South, and I seen Gander. We never got to the point, and so yeah, and I think there's another place in it, Lewisport. Yeah.
Well, that's still gonna find them, and she's still gonna find him and beat him up.
You know what? Feel free, because honestly, the stuff that he's done to our son and those things, he deserves it. He's a good dude. Everyone deserves a good beating. He does. Just gonna call him out. His name is Stephen Hollett. That's Stephen Hollett. No.
Not to name.
Yeah, just bash him with your tongue, one of the two.
Or car.
Yeah, for that. I mean, if you happen to see him on the side of the road and he's got, doing one of those, and you accidentally swerve, I don't know.
Sonny, lose control of the wheel.
Yeah, lose control of the wheel. Yes, White Court. That's White Court, Alberta. Okay. Well, the actual physical address? No, just kidding. I just want someone to just walk up to him and give him one of those big B slaps right across. And then you know what? And then when you think you're done, you go for the backhand one, you know? And and be like, that's for Sunny. That is for Sunny. Yeah. Yeah. And then give my son a big hug. Anyways, you guys.
Yeah, we're at 3 hours and 45 minutes. Let's say goodnight.
Yeah, you guys have overstayed your welcome as usual.
She's talking to Lewis and I.
Yeah. Yeah, is Norris Arm near St. John's? Not really. No. It's about a 4-hour, I think, drive, on there. Google Map. Yeah. Okay, you guys take care. Thanks again for joining us. And we'll see you in tomorrow night's live.
Thanks for having me on.
Tuesday night, Drunk Turkey Show will be on It's a Crime and Shame at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, and then we'll let you know when I'll post when it's just ask Lewis or Sunny one. I just got to figure out the time.
Miracle Hearts, it's a Apple Pen.
Wait.
Sorry. Someone has to buy chopsticks.
Oh. What is it?
It's my Apple Pen.
Oh, right. It came off kind of clinky sounding. All right, guys. Take care. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, Lewis. And thanks everyone in the chat. And have a great night. And thanks I think someone donated. There was what was it? Marietta. I think it was Marietta. Thank you so much. Okay. Take care, guys.
Good night.
Good night.